helping you make that one happen, right?
Yeah, we've had some great partners since day one. Obviously, Kenworth donating the truck for this, our 10th year in a row for transition trucking.
That's a little thing.
Well, it changes somebody's life overnight. The technology gets better. All the bells and whistles for the truck just improve every year. So, and the original one from Troy Davidson 10 years ago, still rolling down the highway. So they build great trucks. The only American owned manufacturer. Glad to be involved with those guys, and can't say enough about the folks over at Hiring Our Heroes as well, because they actually provide a pathway for us to display the truck. Just had an email chain back and forth yesterday with our good friend Crystal over there that handles their events, and Bree, who you know from Kenworth, about 3 locations that we have coming up later this summer where that truck will be displayed. So lots of stuff happening with that contest. But meanwhile, we got to put people into registered apprenticeships. I'm leaving here this morning, going to a DOL event, if you will, by one of the other industry intermediaries, all about workforce development, the JFF Horizons Conference. We mentioned Hannah, who's coming up in a few minutes. It's out at Transportation Marketing and Sales Association. So we've got our toe in a lot of things. Long term, reverse engineering, if you will. Everything's about mid-December for us. We all end up in Washington, D.C. for the truck to be awarded to a deserving nominee, but we also have our Veteran Ready Summit that's coming up at ATA.
And by the way, you also are the person who is behind the scenes making the entire RVers Across America gala happen as well, too.
Well, I'm not going to take credit for that. Amber Karen is the person who's the wizard behind it. I just have the honor to MC.
You MC it, but that, like I said, anybody that knows, that's one of the things, too, about being an MC. In case you guys ever have to MC anything, it ain't about telling good jokes. It's the same thing we do over here at RadioNemo.com. You got to move that thing along, that you can have the best programming in the world, and well, in our case, the feed simply cuts off. I mean, that's our kind of rule. At 4 hours, it's done. You got to bring that thing under control because there's so many people to thank, and it's about how do you kind of create that balance between thanking people, giving people their due, while at the same time remembering people stop giving people their due at about 2.5 hours. They start kind of going, I'm done with the do, I'm ready with the don't. You know what I'm saying?
Well, really, that evening is a culmination of the convoy that's taken place from Columbia Falls, Maine, down to Washington, D.C. So you've had all these people who's been on the road for a week. You've been part of that. I've done the convoy in the past as well. And it's also a preview of what's going to happen the following day at Arlington National Cemetery. So you pack a lot in that night. It's very emotional. I'm so honored to have done that the last 2 years. Very excited about having the opportunity to do that this year. You mentioned Reese. Actually, I think it's, tomorrow we have a call with the American Battle Monuments Commission, and we're looking to potentially go back over there late this fall to do a wreath laying at one of the cemeteries on foreign soil. So don't want to say that publicly because a few things have to happen.
Keep it on the DL. Keep it on the DL. But I tell you what, you can also, and you and Dre have to get on my dad's case because he had a little bit of not a slip. He gained about 7 pounds back, but he's done really immense work. We've seen, by the way, what he's like lighter, and we know that he's lighter on his feet, and suddenly he can move. And so I'm trying to get him and my mom and Mr. Nemo and Miss Nemo to get off their duffs and to kind of make a trip with us. So, Foemaster, we got to keep on my father. We got to get on my dad's case to get him moving so he can get one last hurrah in there. Because there's a certain element. Brad's met him. There's a certain element to my dad with his big suspenders and his Irish Channel accent of a last hurrah going on there. Okay, really quickly, Dre, how you doing this morning, man?
I'm doing good. There was a lot to do in the beginning there,
you
but
think?
We're here. We're making it happen. Yeah, I took over a little bit of Tara's situation to be able to give me full control. I don't want it.
So, Tara, if you could give us a call, we'd love to hear from you so we can give you full control back. We are sitting, by the way, Dre, we're talking about the Reeves Gala. We're talking about all the work that Brad does at the Columbus Veterans Museum and Memorial. You keep creating these worlds, man. You're sitting in a world that you helped create. What is it like to be here at a studio that you guys actually stood up with us for and actually made the move off Sirius to come over here and make this happen? What's it like to be here?
It's a good question.
Yeah, I'm in my neighborhood.
Which is why he picked this place.
Yeah.
No, we picked this place.
Just yesterday I was talking to Tara. This was kind of funny. So one of the other things that we're involved with now is ATA's Workforce Heroes program, and they have a truck that travels around the country and does event, and I was filling out the paperwork for that, and I was talking to Tara about who's going to be the on-site contact for that, and I was filling it out. I realized, hey, the Day Guy House, same zip code, 70119, right? So this is a neighborhood feel. This is one of the most historic areas in New Orleans. If anybody that comes down here,
I used to live a block and a half from you.
Yeah,
we didn't even know
right
that.
down the street.
I mean, right down the street. And by the way, and Dre's gotten a chance finally to walk a little bit of it with me. As we're walking, he goes, "Wait, is every house gorgeous?"
Every. And I love New Orleans because it reminds me of where I grew up, where it's just like 2 houses beautiful, there might be a crack house there.
Oh, yeah. Well, you ever heard the great joke about New Orleans? That people say, if you don't like the weather, give it a block. In New Orleans,
yeah.
If you don't like the neighborhood, give it a block. Well, actually, give it a house.
Exactly.
And there really is that sense. I kind of like things rough and tumble because it does take us back to the old road gang. Oh, look at that. I worked the title into the show. But it works us back to the old road gang radio days. I mean,
exactly.
That real rough and tumble.
Yeah, I'm looking over my shoulder. Get a picture of Dave, one of those hat show prints and it's New Orleans to Nashville and back. And
I have one if you want one.
Yeah, we'll love that.
Exactly.
That'd be great.
And by the way, we are going to be we are beginning to lay the groundwork for this. Everybody's getting excited about it. We've actually got a destination date for Lindsey Lawler's We Should Write. And by the way, she joins me at 9.
Yep.
We're going to have people work on getting 2 titles going on for Road Gang Radio, first half, second half. What you got, my man?
Well, now Chowder was like, well, I was calling in to see Lindsay, but she's not here. I'm like, well, give it 2 hours. You get to talk to Jimmy and Brad, and he's like, okay.
Is he sticking around?
Yeah, he's right here right now.
Get the man in with the
Let's
plan.
Get him in.
Chowder,
Let's
tell
get him
Brad
in.
Bentley and Foamaster Dre hello. You can skip me.
Good morning, Brad. It's a honor and a privilege to talk to you for the first time.
Yeah,
morning, Brother Dre, and yes, Jimmy, I love you too. Good morning.
Oh man, I got to tell you, I like this new chowder. I like the new chowder. I think the space. I think the space in the trip. Brad, by the way, Chowder is a big traveler. I'm going to share these pictures with you. He went.
You share them with whoever you want.
He went on like a national park, state park extravaganza, dude. I mean, when I tell you, it's your kind of trip. You know what I'm saying? The pictures just begin to really accumulate, and you can tell it had an impact on the soul. A little bit of Mark Twain, that traveling thing and what it does for people. How you doing, man?
I'm doing good. So, just a little backstory before you see the picture, Brad. I live in Rapid City, South Dakota, right by Sturgis. Oh. Rapid's our biggest city in the state, but nobody knows it. But if I say I'm from Sturgis, nobody knows where I'm from. Mm-hmm. So we essentially started in the Black Hills, and we drove I-90 out to Buffalo, Wyoming, and we took US 16 across, which takes you through the Powder Mountain Pass at 9,666 feet, which is a national park, all the way through Warland. Then we went through the Shoshone National Park, Yellowstone, and we went through the Grand Tetons and down to Jackson Hole and back to Rapid in 6 days. So it was good, refreshing air.
Chowder, I've actually seen some of those pictures. Dre shared those with me, and I will tell you, I traveled a lot for work over time, and that whole Pacific Northwest area, everything really west of the Mississippi, it's different. I grew up in the rural South in Alabama, and every time I would go out there, would always discover something different. And Jimmy Mack, I know we've got a good friend, Michelle Mowski, who we're talking about getting on the show sometime
soon. Oh, you'd
soon.
love her, by the way, Chowder. She's a railroad gal.
Yeah, and she just
moved
just south of Glacier National Park out there by Flathead Lake, a place I used to go fishing every year when I go see all the trucking companies out in Montana.
Tell Chowder why she moved, though. This is like so deeply moving, dude. This is amazing.
Well, it was really about her dog. Now, she loves it out there, but traveled with her dog. She has a German Shepherd, and he's kind of slowing down in life, let's just say that. And that was an area that he kind of took to, and she wanted him to spend the rest of his time on Earth.
Maybe
a
beautiful place. Yeah.
The more we can get out of the more we can get out of concrete jungles and back into nature, the better things will be.
Amen to that. I feel bad for Brad because I wasn't really showing him the pictures. I was showing him the 93 pictures you sent me.
Don't forget the 15 videos. But
I'm gonna leave it at
that. So, what I was really calling to tell you, Jimmy, and Lindsay. But good morning, Lindsay, because I know you're listening. And Brad's a good person, and I appreciate everything Brad does with being a veteran of the military and that. I love listening to all your interviews with Jimmy and that. So it's great to truly hear and talk to you, Brad. But Jimmy, we had a technical snafu this morning.
What happened?
Chowder outsmarted Chowder. So when I went on vacation, in this Freightliner we have the kill switch, which I think should be in every vehicle as a mandatory piece of safety equipment. the switch you turn off that kills the batteries and all that, which is really good in responding to like vehicle fire, so the fire department don't get electrocuted putting water on stuff. Well, I turned that off so that I would save my batteries, obviously, right? I went to make coffee this morning, and I couldn't figure out why I couldn't make coffee. There was a button that Chowder forgot to turn back on. You have to turn the power to the inverter back on to make coffee.
Oh, yeah. This is a true statement. This is the truest. Yep. And you've said a lot of deep truth here, but that may be, you know how they have quotes from people you can look up online, quotes from famous people? That might be one of the greatest quotes of all time. You have to turn the inverter switch back on to get the power going.
I had the power on so I could drive the truck, obviously, but didn't have to make coffee yesterday because I was leaving the house. I was almost in a deep sense of panic when I couldn't get coffee. I'm like, I just bought a new coffee pot and threw the old one away. What the heck? And then it was like, oh, dummy, how about the button that says on for the inverter?
I got to float you, brother. I love you so much. Good to talk to you. He gets
Chowder.
it, man. Chowder gets it. Chowder, excellent, by the way.
Perfect for the format.
Let's explain proper radio stuff. Okay, we got to do a pledge. We got to get a national anthem, because then we got to call Hannah Sanders and get her in here, by the way. We do got a little bit of a Read Across America coming up. We got a little Highway to Health. I'm on the highway to health. But first, let's have a moment of reflection. Wait, I got to stop. Brad had the best idea yesterday. I'm going to say it again. If you get a grammar school group of children or any group of children to say the Pledge of Allegiance and you want to send it in, just simply say pledge on weekends@radionemo.com and include that file. We'll take care of it. Dre, national anthem us and pledge us away.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets rocked alive, the bombs bursting in air gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
It's Tuesday. Good morning. Romans chapter 11, verse 22 says, note then the kindness and the severity of God. Severity towards those who have fallen, but God's kindness to you provide you continue in his kindness. Otherwise, you too will be cut off. And Paul said, he said, the devil already knows what he's going to get. He said, the devil is aware that he's going to get it. Why does the devil keep thinking that he ain't going to get it? Because he wants to keep deceiving people into thinking that they won't get it. But God says it's coming a whole lot quicker than they anticipate. He says, but you have to understand he's showing you kindness because he don't want you to get it, meaning that he wants you to get right with him and watch this and walk in his love. God bless you, brothers and sisters. Stay in your lane.
Man, that's an amen from Road Gang Radio. Woo!
Amen to the good Reverend, his first appearance on this show. We were hoping to get him on yesterday. I have to tell you, it was chaos theory. Brad Bentley of FASTPORT's with me. We're going to get another folk from FASTPORT here in a second. Really quickly, I did not serve. I have been attached to units that are in the midst of serving, following their goings and doings and writing stories about that. Brad is also another fellow who actually, like me, just cares deeply about these men and women. There are many of us out there who know you all very well, have called many of you our friends, have walked a lot of the same roads you have walked to support you and to get you to the other side. And I know how important it is because you have family that served as well, right, Brad?
Yeah, my father was a World War II veteran, half-brother and a brother that both served in the Navy. And, I appreciate you saying this, Jimmy Mack, because I caught what Chowder said, and I appreciate his comments about the work we do in the veteran space. But I did not serve. I want to make that very clear. We don't want anything being out there about stolen valor, but we're very proud of the work that we do because we connect them to jobs, put them in apprenticeship programs. We do a lot to honor them with programs like the Travis Manion Foundation, Reach Across America, et cetera. So very proud of that.
And the other thing is to remember, if you didn't serve and you serve those who did serve, you are taking the isolation and the isolation away from them and their families, because we need to lift the burden. Only about 3 million people are directly connected to either those who serve or serve themselves, because we're big fans over here as well as, the children and the mothers and the fathers and the wives and the husbands who are connected to that, and all that stuff is important to us. We're going to try something here, Dre. We're going to bring in Showtime really quickly and then drop Hannah in. Showtime, you can call back during our conversation with Kevin Lindsey, but I wanted to get you on in the first half hour. I know you tried to get on yesterday. Hey, man, welcome to Road Gang Radio.
Good morning, gentlemen. How are we doing?
Not a complaint in the world. It's a good way to start the thing. And to be here with the guy who made it all happen. He won't claim credit for it. He never does. But we are sitting amidst all this groovy stuff. I know you've seen pictures of it. So much of it is the responsibility of Brad moving and shaking and making this bacon. So it's good to have you, man.
Yeah. Thank you, Brad, for all you've done to help get this going. It's greatly appreciated for all us drivers out here. So thank you.
It will continue.
Yeah, we're going to have a good one. Keep July 23rd open. I told you, man. Keep that 23rd open, brother. Make it happen.
So I'll make this real quick. Here's what was going on yesterday. I called in, so I'm on the phone listening. I got you on YouTube, and I've also got it on Dave Nemo Live off the website.
My man.
So I'm listening 3 different ways, And I know he had a few bugs getting started out, but by the end of the show, it sounded like everything was sounding really great.
Oh, thank you, man.
Thank you, man.
Correct. Great work by everyone to get that done. So, and Jimmy, I know you're busy, but don't forget to send me an address because I want to get you that one thing I told you about.
Oh, dude, that thing is so awesome.
Get that sent for the studio.
We can't wait to get that up on the wall and get a picture of it as well, too. So there is space for it. It is reserved, and I can't wait to get it up there. One more comment from Dre to you before we let you go for Hannah.
Yeah, I'll send you Brad's address, and then you can send anything you want to him.
Okay.
All right.
Well, Andre, I got something cool I want to get to send in that I think would be very appropriate to go on the wall. So I told Jimmy about it. So
all right, I'll run it through the board.
I'm just waiting for him to send me. I'm just waiting for him to send me the address where to send it, and I'll get it bought and sent over there for it. So it'll be cool. So, all right, you guys have a great morning. We'll talk to you later.
Thank you, Showtime. Let's drop Hannah in. Brad, would you care to do the honors of introducing our friend?
Hannah Sanders coming in live from Austin, Texas.
Ooh.
How are you this morning, Hannah? What's happening out at TMSA?
Good morning, everyone. How's everyone in the studio this morning?
Outstanding. We got donuts. That's all that really matters. 5 o'clock in the morning, donuts.
Donuts.
That's what I'm talking about, donuts.
Sunny day on a
am a
shaded
little
street in
envious.
New Orleans. It's great.
There you go.
How's it going over there? I mean, you're in Musk country. I mean, there's a real Musk over there going. You're in Joe Rogan country, man. Austin city limits. What's happening?
Yeah, it's going great. The weather's nice. I'm here at the Transportation Marketing and Sales Association's Elevate Conference, having a good time, doing some networking with other professionals in the industry and lots of learning. So it's going great here in Austin.
They had that in New Orleans last year, and I really wanted to go to that because I'm always a big fan of the people who tell stories. Now, I'm not really sure why I gravitate in that direction, but it just seems logical to me. What are you hearing? What's the buzz over there, Hannah?
There's a lot about branding yesterday, about building your message as a company, transforming storytelling into story selling, branding yourself as a professional in this industry. It's just a lot of talk about marketing techniques, what we're all doing to connect.
Well, we only have a little bit of limited time here for you, but I wanted to bring you in to say hi and check out how Elevate was going on over there. So thank you so much for joining us this morning, Hannah. It's good to talk to you. And by the way, where are you headed next?
After this, I am headed home, back to Arkansas.
I don't blame you. By the way, tell my nephew Jack hello. He's a Razorback these days. So I appreciate you.
There you go.
Get out of here, Hannah. Have the best of mornings.
Awesome. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Hannah.
We are at the FASTPORT studios, by the way. I'll give you a little bit of something about them after this break, but Phone Master Dre is on the case. I think Kevin Lindsey's coming up next, Dre. Am I correct in that assumption?
Yeah, that's a possibility. I guess we can take him.
I mean, we're going to shoot the breeze a little bit with him, just kind of dig in, talk about new beginnings, the first maintenance matters here on Road Gang Radio. I like saying that, by the way. This is Road Gang Radio. By the way, hashtag RGR. It stands for Road Gang Radio, but it also stands for Roger. It's the acronym for Roger Roger. It's also the acronym for a little bit of resistance. So let's get a little resistance music going here, shall we? Live from the FASTPORT studio in New Orleans, it's Road Gang Radio.
Exceptional value and exceptional values. That's Bennett Trucking. A core commitment of faith, family, and freedom has driven Bennett to being the leading provider of innovative, integrated transportation solutions, both at home and abroad. Bennett's values are not just compatible with providing high-paying jobs and unmatched customer service. They're inseparable. If you're looking for an employer or a partner who believes the best business model is being a model citizen, then Bennett Trucking is the place for you. Go to BennettIG.com and find the folks who share your values.
The Joshua Chamberlain Society is unlike any other veterans organization. It's truly a family, and I know that firsthand from working with them myself. Their mission is to make wounded veterans and families of deceased veterans feel the support and appreciation of their community for life. Our veterans' injuries are permanent, and so is the JCS support. From monetary assistance like paying utility bills or college funds to helping our heroes find purpose, JCS is a family that surrounds and supports the heroes who have sacrificed so much. Learn more and make your donation at chamberlainsociety.org. That's chamberlainsociety.org.
I'm a long-haul trucker. I don't have time for nonsense. So when I fuel up, I need to get in and get going with a fuel card that takes me there. Founded in 1978 by a trucker for truckers, Multi-Service Fuel Card is run by real, honest people who are there to help us road warriors keep our freight moving. And with nationwide acceptance, fuel discounts, and dedicated customer service, no matter where I'm going with Multi-Service Fuel Card, I never roll alone. Learn more at neverrollalone.com.
Did you know it's extremely easy to join the Wreaths Across America mission to remember our fallen heroes, while at the same time honoring those who are currently serving our country and their families? Plus, you're helping to teach our younger generation about the value of freedom. With just one $17 donation to Wreaths Across America, you're sponsoring a fresh Maine Balsam Remembrance Wreath. They've really become a symbol of America's respect for those who bravely served and are no longer with us. To sponsor your wreath, just visit wreathsacrossamerica.org. That's wreathsacrossamerica.org.
Oh man, we're back with more on Road Gang Radio, live on RadioNemo.com, iHeartRadio, and streaming on YouTube. Jimmy, take it away.
Thank you, Phone Master Dre. By the way, the reason we're so cool and the reason the music is so groovy over here is partially due to Shady Rays. Go to ShadyRays.com. They got that protection program. They got a program if you lose them sunglasses, it doesn't make any difference. Go over to ShadyRays.com and remember, if they ever get damaged, they ever get lost, Shady Rays has got your back. Shady Rays. By the way, we're also broadcasting live from FASTPORT Studios. And don't forget, our friend Brad Bentley is here. FASTPORT solves America's toughest recruiting and workforce challenges through research, technology, and the people. From registered apprenticeships to veteran readiness, you can learn more at fastport.com or go to nationalapprenticeship.org. RVers.org to find out what those folks are up to. It is his first time on Road Gang Radio. Our good friend Kevin Lindsey is joining us this morning. He's the manager of technical service for Travel Centers of America. Kevin, you and I have gotten a chance to talk on a million occasions, on more than one or two as we move forward. I promise you Mr. Nemo himself will return, although he likes his new Monday situation. But maintenance matters, of course, takes a little bit longer than the blitzkrieg of everybody gets 10 minutes and they're done. Good morning, Kevin. How you doing? Welcome to Road Gang Radio at the FASTPORT Studios in New Orleans.
Hey, glad to be here. Glad to be here. How you doing, Jimmy?
I'm good, and Brad Bentley from FASTPORT is with me as well. We're just kind of having a good time. Kevin, we got a chance yesterday to talk to our friends over at Pittsburgh Power, and rather than talking to them about, he got into some stuff about maintenance. He got into stuff about technical stuff and all that. But we got new beginnings going on over here. We got new starts. And I thought it would be kind of great, given that we got a new show here, for people to kind of learn about you. Kind of talk about you. I mean, your background, where you come from. I know how much you love talking about yourself. He doesn't, by the way. But I thought we'd give it a shot. I know Daniel Mustafa's story. I knew his story when he was with you guys. I knew how he got where he got. But tell us where you come from. Every superhero's got an origin story, and so we want to hear yours. Tell us about yourself. And good morning, by the way.
Yeah, well, I don't know about the superhero stuff, and good morning to you, Jimmy. But there's always an origin story, right? Everything starts somewhere.
That's right.
That's for sure.
So when did you first fall in love with automobiles and working with trucks and all that stuff? I mean, everybody's got a shade that they actually started under. So how'd you get going?
Well, yeah, to be honest, after 40 years of doing some of this stuff, I don't know that I would say I love it. I mean, I do, but that's a really, really, really long story. Growing up in North Mississippi, I had a granddaddy on my daddy's side who was a certified Ford auto mechanic for his whole career, and my granddaddy on my mother's side was actually a used car salesman. So, I lived closer to my papaw, who was my mama's daddy, and so I was kind of always around that used car business, and it was always, buying and selling stuff, and a lot of the stuff he bought, there was issues with, so I always got to see a lot of this stuff. That's kind of how I really got started, honestly. Way back when I was in high school, I had an old Ford pickup, and I blew a head gasket on it, and I didn't know what was wrong with it. I had tinkered with motorcycles in my younger life a lot, and, lawnmowers and stuff like that. Started off with bicycles, of course, when I was younger. But, I kind of got to tearing that thing down and realized that, there's a lot more to this stuff than I ever realized. But, a few years later, as I was a little older, my brother kind of took over my granddaddy's used car business. He was going to retire, but that didn't work out so well. So I ended up building alternators and starters with him, back in the day when there was still a lot of little shops that did things like that. So that's really how I got started into trucks was, he never wanted to work on anything. All he wanted to do was build starters, alternaters, stuff like that. So we'd have guys come in, hauling cottonseed, pulpwood trucks, dump trucks, log trucks and stuff in North Mississippi. And they would have problems with a starter or alternator, but, it was still on the truck. So I would go out in the gravel parking lot and work on this stuff, pull the components off, carry them in, and me and my brother would build them. He'd sell them back to them, and then I would put them back on for cash. So that's kind of how I got started working on trucks, really. So.
It's crazy. I had a good friend of mine, Kenny Woodham, and he was a munitions expert and a pyrotechnics artist. I kid you not. He basically did fireworks displays and all kinds of stuff like that. He used to always tell me there were two kind of used car salesmen in the South. He'd say there was one who was as is, and the other one would say that ain't right. And he said the as-is ones, they bring it on the lot, and if you could drive it off the lot, he would sell it as it was, as is. And there was the other kind that would open up the hood and look at it and go like, you know what, that ain't right. We got to get these people a better car and figure out ways to kind of fix it and make it a little bit better. The other story I wanted to tell you, this is crazy, but I had these three brothers lived across the street from me, the Keegan brothers, and their names were Larry, Ernest, and Lewis. They called them lights, eyes, and legs because they'd kick the legs from out under you, they'd poke your eyes out, and you get the idea. But they were like complete, like, I guess they were the equivalent of the 11-year-old version of the Dalton Gang. And they had go-karts. And so we would go over there and work on their go-karts. And I didn't even realize I was so young and stupid that one day my dad's lawnmower broke down, and he literally knocked on the door, and he came in and he said, you got to come out here and fix this lawnmower. I'm like, I don't know anything about lawnmowers. He's like, you've been fixing those go-karts forever and a day. Get out here. It was the same engine. I didn't realize it was the same engine. And, and like I said, I didn't go in that direction. My Boy Scout days took me in a different direction. But I've always been kind of obsessed with people who tinker with things. People who kind of put stuff together. And I feel like I wanted to ask you this second question. I know Brad's got something for you too, but I wanted to ask you, do you find that the people you work with, meaning the truck drivers you run into, do they have that same kind of spirit, that same kind of background? Do you find that your customers are more knowledgeable than the kind of people who bring, like, I don't know, a Lexus into the shop?
There is something to that. There is something to that, Jimmy, because I do see that, especially with owner operators and smaller companies and stuff, because that's really all we're all trying to do, right? Is we're out here just trying to make ends meet, trying to provide for our families and everything. And trucking has always been truly the heartbeat of America. And I learned that early on, and I think it's critical. And I got to say, I've always strived and been passionate about our industry, and what we do and what a lot of the people that I've worked with over the years do, as technicians and everything. And the same is true for the drivers, because without the drivers, none of us have anything on the shelves. Without the trucks, we have nothing on the shelves. So it's always been one of those passions of mine, since I got involved with it and realized really how important it was. So.
By the way, guys, we're talking really quickly here, just to let people know, if you're just joining us here on Road Gang Radio, we're talking Maintenance Matters with Kevin Lindsey. You guys know him as the manager of technical service for Travel Centers of America, who, of course, are very, very important to us over here at Road Gang Radio as one of our sponsors. We just like Kevin's company, to be honest with you. So let's kind of put this together as well. So you are the product of not only a used car salesman, but somebody, and a lot of people know how to tinker around stuff. Okay, so that's step number one. So you end up gravitating. How do you end up where you are now? I promise you, we'll never have this conversation again. I will never make you endure this again. But people want to know who you are.
Yeah. Well, that's still a long story, because after all that, I ended up going in the United States Air Force for a little over 6 years, and quite honestly, I used to have people ask me, "Oh, you're in the Air Force? You work on planes?" I said, "No, I work on trucks." So that's what I did. But that's the funny part. A lot of people think automatically, "Hey, you're a mechanic type. You were in the Air Force. You must have worked on airplanes." No. We still had trucks. You still got to move the equipment, the ground equipment, and everything to get the planes and the radar assemblies and all this other stuff wherever you're going. So I was. That's how I really got started. When I got out, I worked for Cummins for a while, worked at several different little fleets and this, that, and the other. Worked for Ryder for a few years, and then I got into the dealer network. And I spent 15 years at the local dealer here in the Nashville area, teaching Freightliner and Detroit classes. So and then came to TA afterwards. So
Brad's got something for you.
It's been a long road.
It's been a long road. Go ahead, Brad.
Kevin, first of all, thank you for your service. Secondly, my favorite part about your origin story, you're from North Mississippi. So one of the reasons I moved to New Orleans years ago is live music, and one of my favorite bands is the North Mississippi All-Stars. Great guitar rock. They've been around for 25 years. I think they just put something out called Still Shaking. You catch them at places like Tipatina. So when I heard you say North Mississippi twice, that's the first thing my mind went to. Something else, too. Our good friend Dave Harrison, who runs the registered apprenticeship team for FASTPORT, we had the opportunity a few years ago to actually go up to Travel Centers of America and see the training program they have for technicians. And I've told anybody that I've run across, I think they have the most comprehensive training program. If I remember correctly, there was 8 different levels to go through that in their apprenticeship. So from just being roadside assistance, tire kicker, tire thumper, if you will, to all the way through the electronics of the engine, I think they have the best training program that's out there. So really respect what you do. You guys cover all the different manufacturers, all the types of engines, and it's a pretty good background that you have, but it takes that level to be able to work for someone like TA.
Oh, absolutely, and I appreciate that because I like to think, yes, we have one of the best training programs as far as the way we had it set up and structured and everything, and I'm just thankful to be a part of that, to help make it what it is. And, glad that they've asked me to come on board several years ago. And, I kind of found a home with them when I did because I was like, hey, they need me here. We can create something really special here if we keep going. So,
well, and it's so funny.
Hopefully that's what we're doing.
And by the way, it is. And by the way, there's a reason why there's a subject called Maintenance Matters that is one of the longest running was one of the longest running segments on the Dave Nemo Show, and will continue here on Road Gang Radio. What's really cool, Kevin, though, and the reason why I always ask this question to people, and like I said, I'll never do this to you again, but like I said, if we go from a North Mississippi kid who actually has a lot of influences who are under the hood. We then take him into the military where he gets to work on trucks. We then give him exposure to different brands and different types of trucks. We then put him in a situation where not only is he working on trucks, but he's also educating people to work on trucks. Do you ever have that moment when you realize, I'm not sure if I plan to do this, but it sure feels like it in retrospect? Because if you get what I'm saying, it feels like all of these pieces kind of put together. And the thing I wanted to ask you, because Brad actually opened the door on it too, let's talk a little bit about, because everybody talks about driver shortage. I'll have an argument with people about that till kingdom come. There's a shortage of drivers, quality drivers. The real shortage, the real time bomb that is going to go off at some point in the nation is mechanics, is the people who can actually really work on this stuff and want to make a living at it. As somebody who sees this up close and is as part of one of the best training programs in the country, how do we get more people interested in doing this, and how do we create more people like you? I don't know else how to put that.
Yeah, well, it's a great question, Jimmy, and it's very, very true perspective on what we're looking at, here down the road. The reality of it is, the younger generation didn't quite have, nowadays, they don't have quite the roots in trucking like a lot of us older ones did, because when you really stop to think about it, a lot of us, whether you were a driver or a fleet owner or any of that stuff, came from farming. I mean, from either farming, whether you was farming stuff, whether you was farming trees, products, whatever, but it came from farming and the need to move those goods, right? So I don't think we have quite that I don't know, that little niche that we used to have, quite as much as we used to have. But I do believe what we have to do for the newer generation is have them realize the technology that we use in this industry. It's real funny because I can remember, 10 or 12 years ago, a car commercial coming on TV and sitting there watching with my wife and may have had one of my kids at home at the time. I don't remember, but and it's that self-parking. You start seeing this. You got the bird's eye view. It can park itself, and it's using radar and LiDAR and all these different technologies, and and I just kind of I kind of scoff a little bit and said, and she's like, "What? I guess you've had that in trucks?" I said, "Yes, since the late '90s." You know, I said it just never caught on. You know, so you know that's the thing about it, and I think that's something that we really got to do. You know, for the younger generation too, because I had an older guy years ago. I worked for Eaton Corporation for a while, but he told me early on. He said the problem we got today, and now this is 25 years ago. He told me this. The problem we got today getting young people, you know, into working on these trucks is they can spend a little bit of money, go to a tech school, and work on, at the time, copying machines. Of course, you know, they're not as big as they used to be either because everything's electronic nowadays. But, you know, and they don't have to get dirty. They got a little small tool bag they have to invest in, and they go in and out of offices all day where, you know, pretty women work and everything. You know, just the way he put it, I'm like, well, why am I working on trucks, you know? It was kind of one of those epiphany moments, I guess, and I thought about that, and I'm like, you know, he's right. You know, we've got to make this industry a little more appealing, you know, Kevin, to bring fresh people in. So,
Kevin, in that spirit, I want to ask you for some advice. So FASTPORT spends a lot of our time on military bases. We run across a lot of people who have turned wrenches, done different things, worked on a lot of different types of equipment. And Jimmy Mack is right. There definitely is a shortage of technicians. What we tell them right now is there's a career path in the transportation sector, trucking specifically, because a lot of people don't realize you can go to work for a trucking company. You can work on the trucks there at the fleet level. You can also go out and work for the travel plazas like Travel Centers of America. You can also work for dealerships potentially. But what could we add to that? What are we missing that we could be telling these transitioning service members who are coming out, who have the skill sets that we'd love to see in this industry?
Man,
well,
that landed. That landed.
Yeah, I was kind of flat as a pancake on that, Brad. I think you flattened me out there. I don't know. I don't really know what the true answer is there, but all I know is, you know, we've got to do that. You know, we've got to be able to get these skill sets that this younger generation has. We've got to be able to figure out a way to convert that into, you know, what we do to keep America moving as a trucking industry. You know, we really do. You know, and even from not just that technician or mechanic perspective, as you know, from the driver perspective, you know, and there's a lot of good organizations out there doing stuff like that now. You know, working with, you know, high schools and everything, and that's one thing I've tried to do myself the last 15, 20 years of my career. You know, I've tried to get more involved with tech schools and the VOTEC programs in high schools even, you know, to get younger people more interested, you know, in what we do, to try to show off some of the technology, you know, how, you know, we can hook these laptops to these trucks nowadays and diagnose some stuff. You know, you still got that repair process that's going to go on, which is going to involve turning a wrench, getting your hands dirty, but it's that aspect of, you know, figuring out what's wrong with this stuff. And there's so many things, you know, nowadays, you know, with emissions regulations and everything else that goes on, so many little things. And it is extremely technical anymore, you know, and we've got to be able to encapsulate that and be able to just, you know, market it to a generation to help draw more people into what we're doing, you know.
Yeah, Kevin, I appreciate you mentioning those high school programs. You got some great things happening with organizations like Next Generation in Trucking. I love what they do every year at the Mid-America Trucking Show, where they bring in kids. I think they had around 500 there this year, and they go around and introduce them to different people. They always come by the FASTPORT booth. They want to see that new Kenworth truck that we always have there. But I made an observation there a few years ago. We actually had one of the local National Guard trucks in our booth next to the Kenworth T680. And we had a lot of people that came up from the bases at Campbell and Knox in uniform. And it was interesting that the truck drivers who came past our booth, they all wanted to crawl in the National Guard convoy truck. And all of the people that were in uniform wanted to crawl up in that new T680 because they wanted to see how different it was from what they were familiar with. So I think it's really about exposure at the end of the day.
The other thing that Kevin said that was so interesting, because we go back to Dave and my theory, and I know Dave's talked to you about this, Kevin, is that you come from literally, as baseball would put it, the farm system. And while we have lost to a large degree because the small farm has gone, and by the way, Kevin is the perfect mix of what creates a truck driver, by the way, where the family has the tradition of moving vehicles, the family has a farm tradition, and the family has a military background. That's the three places from which trucking, for the better part of 3 decades, drew its talent pool from. I do think the high school thing, though, really there's something there, and I think one of the ways we might be able to do it is if, in fact, high school programs are really going to get up to gear, they've got to let the counselors, or they've got to have people in those schools become talent scouts. Somebody's got to be able to walk over to somebody 13, 14 years old who's messing around in shop, who's got the ability to kind of do it and say, hey, you should think about this, not because you're not good enough for the other stuff, but because you're great for this. And there's a at the end of the day, you can't offshore a breakdown. I mean, that's what it comes down to. If the truck breaks down, you can't call somebody in New Delhi to get on the phone and fix your truck. They got to be on the ground. That job ain't going anywhere, right?
Exactly. And you know, that's a great point. So, well, I tell you what, I'd almost piggyback off of that and almost throw a challenge out here, because when you talk about that and those programs and stuff, but one of the challenges the schools have, especially, you know, the high school programs and the smaller VOTEC, you know, post-secondary schools, is budget restraints, right? So, you know, all of these automotive programs that are out there, you know, all the OEMs, Ford, GM, Toyota, Chrysler, you know, they all are intertwined with that and supply, you know, components and pieces and cars and trucks to those programs and stuff for doing that, you know, and open up their training. You know, I'd almost challenge all of the heavy duty truck OEMs, you know, whether it's Kenworth, Peterbilt, Freightliner, Volvo, Mack, all of them, to do that with trucking. I think that would, if that OEM involvement in that, I think would be a great way to, you know, jumpstart younger people into our industry. So.
Yeah, and it goes back to the farm system as well. That's one of the things that I don't think is impossible to create. Because, I mean, look, I've hung out with you. You're great to hang out with. You know, I've hung out with some of your colleagues. They're great to hang out with. People need to remember, too, that, you know, the one thing you can't ever sell enough is this is a good time. And there is something about being a detective when it comes to a truck. There is something about being an investigator when it comes to a truck. A bunch of dudes, a bunch of dudettes kind of standing around a piece of machinery going, okay, what's wrong with this sumbitch? You know what I'm saying? What's going on here? You know,
by all means. You know, I've said for years, you know, the whole CIS TV shows and stuff, you know, all of that really came from trucking. I don't care what anybody says. Somebody was watching a mechanic trying to figure something out that was broke on a truck and said, look at how they approach this, you know, because there is a methodology to this stuff. And honestly, it's the same, because you have no idea where you're really going with it, but you know what the complaint is sometimes, and not always, because, you know, you know, let's face it, without the quality of drivers anymore, a lot of times the driver complaint is not necessarily what's really wrong with the truck, because there was something that happened even before that they didn't pay attention to close enough. So, you know, it's fun. It's fun for sure.
There was a lady we used to work with. She was a child services officer named Julie Wen, and what she would do is that she could walk in on a custody evaluation, and she could look at the kitchen and go, "Yeah, they just cleaned this up. Yeah, this is normally a trash heap." She could look at it and go, "Yeah," and she would show us why. She'd show us in the tiling on the counter. She's like, "Yeah, they just wiped this down. There's nothing going on here." And we'd be like, "What are you talking about?" She said, "Well, you can't smell the bleach underneath the cleaner." She said, anytime you walk into a place and you can smell the bleach underneath the cleaner, you know people actually care. And the ability to look at something and to figure out how it got there, like a guy who goes from North Mississippi to the Air Force and then to Cummins, and to figure out how he ends up in the place he ends up, that's a gift. I mean, that's a gift to kind of be able to track things and figure out how they got there. Kevin, I can't tell you how much I appreciate you taking this curveball. I promise you, the next time you come on for Maintenance Matters, we will talk about maintenance and how it matters. But I wanted to give people a chance to meet you and give people a sense of what a great guy you are and why it is you've gotten to where you've gotten in life. And we really appreciate the time. Dave, by the way, gives you a big shout out. Thank you, sir.
All right. Thank you, guys. I enjoyed it.
I did too. By the way, we're over at the FASTPORT studio. They're solving America's toughest recruiting and workforce challenges through research, technology, and people. From registered apprenticeships to veteran readiness, you can learn more at fastport.com or nationalapprenticeships.org. Without further ado or don't, Phone Master Dre is going to take us away into this break. Thank you, Dre, so much for taking the ride with us. Brad, you and I will talk for a few more moments before we hand it off to our friends from Reeves across America, who have stood by us as friends as well, as you well know. Dre, if you would not mind. It's Road Gang Radio. We're coming for you. We're coming for you. Come down to the Crescent City with all your sick friends and all those hippies that rally around you.
Prepare for over-the-top flavor with a limited-time lineup of ginormous sandwiches. Try the Chicken Parm Stack, breaded chicken fillets on garlic bread with red sauce and mozzarella. Or the Big Country Combo, country fried steaks with mashed potatoes, gravy, and fried eggs on Texas toast. Craving a burger or grilled cheese? Well, the Ultimate Smash Melt delivers both with smashed patties, cheese, and bacon between grilled cheese buns.
Available for dine-in only at participating Country Pride and Orange Skillet restaurants inside TA or Petro Travel Centers.
Live hard, drive hard. Shady Rays has got you. If you want a pair of sunglasses that keeps up with your adventure on the road, Shady Rays has got you. If you want to keep your eyes on the journey ahead with a price point right for your lifestyle, Shady Rays has got you. Premium polarized sunglasses with a lost and broken protection program and 30-day risk-free returns and exchanges. Drop in that code Radio Nemo at shadyrays.com and get a 35% discount and make sure you can see where the action is. They got you at shadyrays.com.
Okay, you've heard the horror stories of how folks have lost their life savings when the market tanks. Is there a way to invest and make money without risk? Believe it or not, yes. Since 1995, Americans who cannot afford to lose their investments have used fixed index annuities. You get guaranteed income and protection from market downturns. It's a win-win for you and your future. And to learn more, dial pound 250. Use the keyword Truckers Wealth to get in touch with them today.
Did you know it's extremely easy to join the Wreaths Across America mission to remember our fallen heroes, while at the same time honoring those who are currently serving our country and their families? Plus, you're helping to teach our younger generation about the value of freedom. With just one $17 donation to Wreaths Across America, you're sponsoring a fresh Maine Balsam Remembrance Wreath. They've really become a symbol of America's respect for those who bravely served and are no longer with us. To sponsor your wreath, just visit wreathsacrossamerica.org. That's wreathsacrossamerica.org.
Oh, I like that right there. It's the voice of the road, rolling live out of the FASTPORT studios. Welcome to Road Gang Radio with your trusted guide, Jimmy Mack.
Joined by Brad Bentley this morning, and Phone Master Dre is making the miracle happen over here in the Crescent City of New Orleans. There's three ways to say it. You can say New Orleans if you're from Ohio, totally acceptable. You can say New Orleans if you're from Uptown, or you can say it like the rest of us, New Orleans. Nobody says Nolans, by the way, except people who've had one too many drinks, by the way. We've all had, except for me, because I don't drink, one too many drinks with our friends from Reeds Across America from time to time at the gala. That's the only time, not when we're on the road. Good friends of the show, absolute great friends of the show. Courtney George, Amber Karen, Jeff Pierce, and of course the Worcesters. Moral and Karen. Always good spending time with them. You've had some great experiences. I would like you to do the honor, though. Our good friend Susan Patton is going to talk here for an extended period. So, Brad, if you would say good morning to you, Susan. Dave says hello. Would you do that for me right now?
Good morning, Susan Patton. Dave says hello.
Welcome to Wreaths Across America Trucking Tributes. I'm your host for Trucking Tributes, Susan Patton. And today on Trucking Tributes, I'm joined by Chris Sonner. And Chris is a professional driver with Baylor Trucking and a military veteran. So we're going to unpack all that today on Trucking Tributes. Chris, thanks so much for joining me today.
Oh, you're very welcome. Hi, y'all.
I love talking to professional drivers throughout the country. It is one of my greatest honors in working for Wreaths Across America. And the very first thing that I usually do, Chris, on Trucking Tributes is I ask that professional driver how and why you decided to become a professional driver.
About 16 years ago, well, my ex-wife is the one that suggested it. I was in sales for almost 20 years, and the economy was S in the bed, if you know what that means. And she suggested, why don't you get your CDL? And so far, so good. You'll awesome. never have to look for a job again with a safe driving record anyway.
That's the truth, and clearly you have one. So when did you team up with Baylor?
A little over 4 years ago. I'm not sure if you remember Celadon. When Celadon, I was a lease operator with them until they shut down, and then I worked local. I live in Amherst, Ohio, which is a little west of Cleveland, and I did some local work, and then I got the cabin fever and decided to go back on the road, and Baylor was the choice.
That is awesome. What is it like for you working for Baylor? Why do you enjoy the company?
Oh, it's kind of sort of not anymore, but it's a small company, family owned, and I had a lot of referrals from old Celadon friends. They did a major rescue when Celadon went under for a lot of drivers. They got them out of the hole.
And the other thing about Baylor, too, is I know in speaking with other Baylor drivers, is that Baylor is absolutely really keen on hiring military veterans. Because,
very much so. Very, very much so.
Yeah, they know. And you, sir, have served. So give our listeners some of that background.
Well, I was in the Army National Guard for 3 years and as a cavalry scout. And then I decided I really didn't want to sleep in an armored personnel vehicle for 30 days at a time going active duty. So I went active duty Air Force, and I spent my time there in a climate control computer room.
There you go. As I'm often telling my grandson, hey, the military is not just about being on the ground and so
no.
In a computer room. So what were some of your responsibilities and what did you like best about serving, Chris?
The travel was incredible. I spent my first 2 years in England at RAF Mildenhall. And then when I separated, I was, my last 4 was spent in Omaha, Nebraska, off at Air Force Base. The first 2, I worked in the data processing center and I worked in the base communications center over in England. When I was stationed in Omaha, Nebraska, I was attached to Space Command before the Space Force. We flew the weather satellites for the military, and we ran all the computer systems for them.
That is fascinating work. That must have been very rewarding for you.
Oh, very much so.
So you joined Baylor, and somehow, is it through Baylor or was it before Baylor that you actually had learned about Wreaths Across America?
Through Baylor. I've heard, I kind of sort of remember it in the news years ago. And, but then, my first December with Baylor, Carrie and, Lorraine, called me and, asked me if I wanted to do the Wreaths Across America run. I'm not going to say no to that. So oh my God, it's such an incredible experience just going up there and not just doing the convoy was just shot it out of the park.
Yeah, we'll talk about the convoy in just a minute, but tell me your first experience. So when you first got involved, what were your roles and responsibilities for wreaths as part of that run?
Well, of course, you go up to Maine, Columbia Falls. You did the run up there, and then my favorite way to explain the Columbia Falls, the Welcome Center where all the drivers are. It's the only place in this country where you can get 100 truck drivers all together at the same time, and not one of them bitching about something.
Oh, I don't know. I might have heard a little bitching here and there, but you never know. It's never generally about wreaths across America, though.
No. And well, my first year, I remember going up to I call them the hangars, where you go to get your trailer loaded. And it's the same guys there for the last 4 years. 4 years I've been doing it. And they're saying, congratulations, you got the most stops this year. And I had like a 16, 17 stop run doing, I did Cincinnati, Newport, Kentucky, and just numerous different places along Indiana, Kentucky, and Illinois. I crossed the line into Illinois also, but it was just phenomenal experience doing that.
That is amazing, Chris. And you're touching on something that we let folks know in Trucking Tributes, that as Wreaths Across America grows, and we have every year, thanks to patriotic American citizens, every year as we get larger, we have more and more participating locations throughout the country. And that means that our professional drivers in this instance are making more and more stops on their route so that we can service all of these locations. And our transportation division at Wreaths Across America does a yeoman's amount of work in trying to coordinate these runs and these stops for everybody, hoping to get everybody a little piece of what they want in terms of where they'd like to be and where they'd like to haul the veterans' wreaths. But as we grow, as you know, and you're a testament to, Chris, we are getting more and more of those locations and more multiple stops for our professional drivers. But, you're interacting with so many people. What was that like that first couple of years?
Oh, my gosh. Just the gratitude from the families, the VFWs. Well, they're not allowed to anymore. Letting a little kid hop on the trailer and hand out a wreath. That was incredible. Or you get the little kids. A lot of the little kids, they want to sit in the truck. They want to honk the horn. And just super fun. It's just incredible.
It really is an amazing feeling. Our professional drivers, such as Chris Sonner, who I'm speaking with today from Baylor Trucking, our drivers are always telling us on Trucking Tributes that it is a lot of fun and you're making lifelong friends in the process, and you're meeting new people everywhere, and everybody is on the same page when it comes to the mission to remember, honor, and teach. So Chris Sonner is with Baylor Trucking, as I mentioned, here on Today on Trucking Tributes. And you, the first couple of years, you came to Maine, you picked up your load of veterans' wreaths, and you made multiple stops. But last year was like the big cherry on top. Talk to us
about my gosh.
Experiences, Chris.
The convoy. Well, you get to drive 700 miles with full police escort shutting down every single road, every single interstate. It was incredible. It was incredible. And all the stops, you're on an emotional roller coaster listening to all the stories because you're doing 2-3 stops a day. Schools, VFWs, just community centers. And you're just hearing stories from Gold Star moms, everything. And just you get your little camaraderie with the other. I think we had 13 trucks, and you get it with all the officers. Oh, they're incredible that we had on our police escort the whole trip.
It's about the only time, right, Chris, that a professional driver says, "Oh, I'm excited about all these blue lights."
Oh, exactly. And especially when you see one coming up. Oh my God, when the troopers I try to remember what it was called when they the in between different exits, you see the troopers fly up through and shut
They
down
have
the
a
next
sweep
batch
on the
back.
left or a sweep on the right, or they're coming up.
Yes, the sweeps. Thank you
Yeah.
very much.
Yes,
That's what I was trying to think of.
Yes,
Oh,
exactly.
it was incredible. And good old Cupcake. Cupcake was the officer in charge.
Indeed, she has been the officer in charge for many, many years, and our law enforcement personnel, as Chris is mentioning, are exceptional. And many of them have been with us long term on the annual wreath escort to Arlington National Cemetery. And each year they just perfect the convoy and get it down so that we are able to travel safely. And as Chris pointed out, many times we have lanes of the highway all to ourselves because of our escort with law enforcement. And then, of course, the Patriot Guard riders and other motorcycle groups join along as well. And they lead the escort. And as he said, the annual escort to Arlington National Cemetery, leaving down East Main every year, is comprised of our law enforcement escort, our Patriot Guard riders, our Chevy wrapped vehicles. Of course, Chevy is a huge sponsor of the annual escort to Arlington, as they provide us the beautiful wrapped Suburbans and Tahoes and so forth, so that our Gold Star families can ride in comfort and pride, as they are all beautifully wrapped vehicles. And it's really fair to say, would you not, Chris, that when you see the escort, the convoy coming down the highway, you pretty much can't miss us?
Oh, absolutely. No, yeah, well, you can't miss us because the highways are shut down.
Well,
And
we
then
have
you
a
get
few
all the
drivers here and
intersections.
there that are a little oblivious to things sometimes, but that's
You
about
get all
it.
the intersections shut down, stoplight. Well, for a week straight, you're running red lights going through all these shut down roads, and then you got to remember on that Saturday afternoon when you're heading back to turn in all the pallets and the boxes of the wreaths, that you got to start paying attention to stoplights and stop signs again.
That is so funny.
So
That is such a common refrain of everybody that drives on the escort. Chris, thanks for sharing that. Is that everybody who drives on the annual wreath escort from Maine to Arlington National Cemetery has to relearn how to drive as soon as the escort is over, because you don't have that security, you don't have the red lights, held for you and so forth like we do on the convoy to Arlington. And to make some clarifications today on Trucking Tributes, number one, I'm speaking with professional driver Chris Sonner, and he is a military veteran, professional driver for Baylor Trucking. I'm your host, Susan Patton, and we let people know that not all professional drivers and carrier companies have to come to Maine to pick up the veterans wreaths, because we are servicing this year, we're told, up to 5,000 participating locations throughout the country. You can pick up at a cross dock. Wreaths Across America and our trucking transportation partners have cross docks located throughout the country. So if it's a little bit too much this year for you to donate all that trip all the way to Maine, rest assured that our transportation division at Wreaths Across America has a way to get you connected. As Courtney George, our director of transportation, always says, there's only two vehicles she can't load, and that's a tanker or a flatbed, but we have relationships with so many different carrier companies that we can get you matched up. So don't let anything become an obstacle to getting involved this year in 2025. We're at the biggest point yet in our history of Wreaths Across America in terms of the amount of locations that we will be servicing this year. Last year, it was 3.1 million veterans wreaths transported by our transportation companies, and we know that this year, it'll be an even larger amount because of patriotic citizens who are sponsoring these veterans wreaths and making sure that the headstones of our fallen throughout the country are adorned with that veterans wreath on Wreaths Across America Day. This year, Saturday, December 13th. And so it is not too early to get involved. Please pick up the phone or get on that email and reach out to our transportations division at Wreaths Across America so that we can get you and your carrier company signed up. What do you think, Chris, was your best favorite part? I mean, it's so hard for people usually to describe, but for you, what was your favorite part, or what has been your favorite part participating?
oh my gosh, it had to have been the convoy. The convoy. Uh, You can't beat it as a trucker. So if Karen and Merle are listening, tell them you want Chris to drive the convoy this year for Baylor. Okay. Carrie too. Carrie.
All right. So Carrie Baylor, Courtney George, Moral and Karen. Chris wants the route again.
Thank you.
And you know what, Chris? That exemplifies the sentiment with our professional drivers. They are always telling me that once you've done it once, you're hooked. And you.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's like we have to take a little downtime over the holidays to kind of regroup and kind of take a deep breath and say, oh my goodness, what did we do this year? And then we get ready and we gear up and we're already going into next year. And the drivers are already saying, we're already waiting. We're already ready to go.
And as a driver, trucking can be difficult at times. And just that little break, you know what you're doing for the whole week. You know what I mean? You have no worries. You're doing something fun. And just watching the people.
And heck, you're being well fed too.
Best part. Oh my God. Especially even not doing the convoy. I think I ended up with a half dozen fruit baskets. So I had to be careful because my body was rejecting all the healthy stuff they were giving me.
And that's a testament, too, to the location coordinators throughout the country. Our location coordinators take their jobs as volunteers so seriously, and they make special escorts throughout the country for a lot of the drivers who are coming in. And it's not unheard of that the locations throughout the country, the location coordinators coordinate an escort with law enforcement and Patriot Guard riders in their communities to welcome that tractor trailer driver who is coming in with that load of veterans wreaths into their communities. And you're so right. They are so fond of our professional drivers that we're hearing that you guys and gals are treated like kings and queens, and that's the way it should be. And that's the way we're very proud to say that on Trucking Tributes. So for those, Chris, that are uninitiated and are listening to Trucking Tributes today and they're thinking, okay, 25 is my year to get involved, describe a little bit more for them what the process is. So when you arrive in Maine, what goes down? How does it all go down for you?
Well, you go to the Welcome Center. The first thing you do, you go to the counter, you check in, and they'll get your phone number or whatever. If you got to do something, you can shower there. They'll have food there, all the coffee you want. You check in, they'll call you or assign you a time. When you have to drive down the road, you get to go through a little forest to where the quote unquote hangars are I think there's 4 or 5 hangars full of wreaths.
Oh yeah.
You back up to the dock. You hang out with the guys there and while they're loading you, and of course the last thing they do is they pop the wreath on the front of your truck before you leave, and then you're on your way. You get the paperwork, or you could either shut down if you need to reset hours or whatever, if you have time, go back to the Welcome Center, get dinner, relax, and then or head right out.
Yep. We also have a driver appreciation dinner send-off that Saturday night before the annual wreath escort takes off for Arlington National Cemetery that Sunday morning. And the driver appreciation dinner is always a big hoot. The transportation sector makes sure that they give out honors and awards. And it's really cool because we get to hear from every driver who is there, who is going to be taking off, of where they're coming from, who they're hauling for, how many years they've been involved. And that is always so, so rewarding to hear. And of course, a big shout out to the Tyson Foods cook team, because they are on site for just a little after Thanksgiving. The Tyson Food cook team shows up at the driver's lounge that Chris is referencing, and they make sure that our drivers and volunteers throughout the coming weeks are beautifully fed. 3 squares a day if you get to hang out with us for that long, and it's just remarkable. And now, do you able to do any of the tours, Chris?
Oh my God, yes. Around the
yeah.
I went to they got the museum, and then we did the little van tour all the way where they pull the clippings from the trees.
Yep.
Get to see the Harley out there, and what's the big crate building?
The Lindbergh Crate.
The Lindbergh Crate is out there.
In fact, Chris, we just had a special event in Down East Maine, rededicating and opening the Lindbergh Crate. And for those who have not been familiar with the story, Wreaths Across America was gifted the Lindbergh Crate, and that was literally the wooden crate that the Spirit of St. Louis was transported in after Lindbergh made his record transatlantic flight. And we have turned that into a small museum on the Tipland. And the Tipland, of course, as Chris is referencing, is where we love to take our professional drivers if they have time to hang out with us for a bit before they take off on their destination. Then they do get a Tipland tour, and that's where the balsam fir, the trees are not cut down. We need to let folks know that it is a very sustainable operation. The trees in what is an actual industry in the state of Maine, the trees are tipped at the top, and then some of the side branches are also chopped off to create almost a pruning process, if you will, for these balsam fir trees. And every third year, that tree gets tipped and pruned a bit. And that's where the brush comes from for the creation of the veterans wreaths that we are using and that folks are sponsoring to honor our fallen. So it's a very sustainable process. It's a pruning process for the trees. So each year, those trees become more and more robust, and the brush just becomes that much more beautiful every year to produce those veterans wreaths. And we have thousands of replica dog tags hanging on these trees as a living tribute. Now, Chris, did you hang a dog tag?
No, not this year. Not this year.
Well, okay. So Carrie, Courtney, Morrill, Karen, all you listening to Trucking Tributes, another reason that Chris Sonner has to come back in 2025 because he needs to tag a tree and the replica dog tags, we make them for free, and it's a free program called the Remembrance Tree Program. And our professional drivers often talk about that experience, not only being able to tag a tree if they are a veteran or someone in their family has served and they want to name that tree for their family, but other professional drivers who have been with us for some time love to do the Tipland tour and show other drivers because they are showing off their knowledge of our Tipland. And when you see those dog tags glistening in the sun and you can hear them tinkling in the trees during a breeze, it really, really is rewarding. So the annual Wreath Escort was your final experience with us. What was it like, Chris, arriving in Arlington and doing that whole piece?
Oh, excuse me. One more time. I'm sorry. They sent me a message over and I had to peek.
Oh, I know. Isn't that distracting? My phone keeps going off.
Yeah.
It's funny that they want you to work while you're working, right?
Oh, I know. I'm still way early for my appointment. So.
Oh, good. So just describe for folks the actual sentiment and process, if you will, of when the escort finally arrives in Arlington.
Oh my gosh. Well, you're parking your truck at Arlington National Cemetery for the night. And then you take the shuttle back to the hotel for the big party. And then bright and early the next morning, you're out there. And then just thousands and thousands and thousands of people delivering wreaths to the graves. It's crazy. It's incredible. And it goes fast. It goes faster than you think. And then, well, of course I have pictures on my phone. You see the whole cemetery of blank headstones. And then all of a sudden, within 2 hours, boom, all you see is green all over them. Which is
amazing, isn't it? How quickly they are laid out there by all of their.
Oh my gosh. And it definitely, some of those turns, it tests your driving skills also.
Yes, indeed it does. And I'm not a professional driver, but I've been told that it absolutely does test your mettle without a doubt. Well, Chris, we can't thank you enough. And Baylor Trucking, I mean, Baylor, Carrie Baylor, and the Baylor family, Bob Baylor, of course, rest in peace, sir. And the whole Baylor family have been such friends to Wreaths Across America for so many years now that we can't do it without them and professional drivers such as yourself. What are we not talking about, Chris, about your experiences that you'd really like to share that you think is important?
It's just incredible. It's just non-forgettable. It's one of the highlights of my whole trucking career. Be honest with you. Something you won't forget, especially on the convoy with all the families and all the well, not just the truckers, it's all the escort vehicles, the wrap Chevys. Were you on the convoy this year?
I was briefly until I got derailed.
A couple of the moms from the bus. They got to ride with you for a leg. I had Elizabeth Barna with me, our company rep.
Yes.
And I got to know Elizabeth real well, and I think she took a break either in the bus or the vehicles, and I had some of the Gold Star, Blue Star moms ride with me, and that was a great time too.
Thank you for sharing that. That is a great part of the experience because we try to do that on the annual Wreath Escort to Arlington every year is to make sure that our traveling VIPs, so as he mentioned, our Gold Star families, our Blue Star families, that they are able to hop up with one of our professional drivers for a leg of the journey so that they can, number one, chat and share their story with the professional driver about their involvement, but also to experience truly, I can attest that until you sat up in that tractor and had that view of the highway and have been part of the escort in that regard, it's something else. They also are able to ride with our law enforcement personnel, and we try when health is permitting everybody. Of course, we didn't do that during COVID, but when health is permitting and so forth, we allow folks to kind of swap up and take different rides and get different perspectives. Gosh, we've even had some of our Gold Star mothers hop on the back of motorcycles. So they get all the different perspective involved in participating in the annual Wreath Escort to Arlington National Cemetery. Once again, if I haven't said it before, on Trucking Tributes today, I'm speaking with Chris Sonner, and he is one of our professional drivers from Baylor Trucking, and I'm sure that he is encouraging you, as am I, to get involved now. Don't wait. Get involved. Reach out to our transportation sector at Wreaths Across America and say, hey, 2025 is my year for myself as a carrier, as a professional driver or carrier company. Get involved because we are going to need trucks this year. We need them every year, but every year the mission grows. So we need more trucks. Chris, I can't thank you enough for taking time out of your day and sharing your experiences participating with Wreaths Across America.
Well, thank you very much. It was great talking.
And we want to thank the folks as well at Radio Nemo for having us on this morning.
The mission of Wreaths Across America is unwavering, remembering our fallen heroes, honoring those who are currently serving along with their families, and most importantly, teaching the next generation about the value of freedom. And you can join our mission with a $17 donation that sponsors a fresh Maine Balsam Remembrance Wreath. Each wreath will be laid in honor of a veteran who gave the ultimate sacrifice for our nation. To sponsor your wreath, please visit wreathsacrossamerica.org. That's wreathsacrossamerica.org.
I'm a long-haul trucker. I don't have time for nonsense. So when I fuel up, I need to get in and get going with a fuel card that takes me there. Founded in 1978 by a trucker for truckers, Multi-Service Fuel Card is run by real, honest people who are there to help us road warriors keep our freight moving. And with nationwide acceptance, fuel discounts, and dedicated customer service, no matter where I'm going with Multi-Service Fuel Card, I never roll alone. Learn more at neverrollalone.com.
Back to the talk that drives America. This is Road Gang Radio. Let's rejoin Jimmy live from the FASTPORT studios.
By the way, big thanks to Brad Bentley, who just shuffled off his radio coil for taking the first part of the ride. Brad, of course, is the president of FASTPORT, who's out there busily solving America's toughest recruiting and workforce challenges through research, technology, and people. From registered apprenticeships to veteran readiness, learn more at fastport.com or nationalapprenticeship.com. And speaking of sponsors, Truck Down, Truck Up, and Get Down. They serve 50 states and all 8 provinces. If you are a trucker or if you are a small company and you find yourself on the side of the road and looking to hook up with somebody who can get you the maintenance that matters, go to truckdown.com and they'll figure out where to send you next. Big thanks to all of them as well. This is the first segment of Highway to Health on Road Gang Radio. Dr. Franchesca Fiorito joins us this morning. I am so thrilled to welcome you because I have to tell you right now, and I almost am terrified to say it, from the time I was about 12 years old to the time I was in my late 30s, I was a chronic sufferer of genuine bona fide migraines. I don't know what I tweaked in my life, but they have become a very, very rare occurrence in my life. But it's good to have you. That is the topic of the day. There's lots to talk about. Welcome to the first edition of Highway to Health on Road Gang Radio. Good morning.
Good morning, and thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here, and I can imagine there are many people today that will hear this and really relate because it is a common and disabling disease.
And let me just say, because you're with the Association of Migraine Disorders, so you know of what you speak, what's really crucial here is to understand that there are people who and everybody who actually suffers from migraines, including my wife, who has done Botox shots, who has done 1,000,001 things. You've got an interesting solution we're going to talk about in a little bit here. It's important when people tell people, I think I got a migraine. I'm like, no, you don't have a migraine. If you think you got a migraine, you don't. You know what one is. There are certain symptoms. There are certain things that really kind of set it off. It varies from person to person, but can you, given that you're the expert here, really kind of define one for us so people understand? Because often the first time you get one, it is terrifying and very confusing.
Yeah, I think it's always important to know headache is a symptom. Migraine is a disease. Yeah. So migraine is a neurological disorder that's characterized by recurrent intense headaches. So a person is predisposed to having these episodes, and it's usually a moderate to severe attack. It could be one-sided, although some people it's generalized. Usually they feel like they would rather lie down or reduce their physical activity. They could have light sensitivity, sound sensitivity, nausea, and even vomiting. So it's not just a headache. So it is important that when we talk about migraine, yes, we're going to have a bad headache, but we're going to have so much more. And I think that's what differentiates it from other, headache disorders.
One of the things, and like I said, they have become, I've made lifestyle changes, of course. They've become less recurrent, but when I get them, I get that, and somebody once called it an aura. I literally lose peripheral vision, and it becomes hard for me to focus in any direction. And it's the first telltale sign that the headache is coming. But there is no, I'll make this really clear too, because you've mentioned a lot of symptoms. It manifests itself in different ways, but it is an extended kind of situation that goes beyond just, carrying stress in your shoulders and it's making your way into your head. This is not a standard headache. Where do they come from? I mean, are they passed down? I mean, there's a lot I don't know here, and so I'm thrilled to actually have you on.
Okay, yeah. So, it is a complex brain disorder. So basically, what is going on with migraine is there is a state of hyperexcitability in the brain, and different parts of our brain are kind of more sensitive and active. Why does this occur? There is a huge genetic component. So a lot of times it is passed down, like you just mentioned, and we carry it since we're born, and throughout life it starts to manifest. So that's usually what happens. A person that has a migraine was predisposed to have one. They didn't do anything, to cause it. There are triggers that make it worse, but you have to really be born with this disorder. So I hope that answers your question. And then because of this excessive brain activity and more sensitive brain where all these regions are being activated, we get, obviously the headache, and all these other symptoms. We feel sick when we have a migraine attack. It's not only also the nausea, the vomiting. We can just feel kind of off, reduced energy levels, dizzy, neck pain, and have these reversible neurological symptoms, which you're talking about, like the aura. Aura occurs in around 30% of patients that live with migraine, and it is a subset of reversible neurological symptoms. Visual is the most common. We can get loss of, peripheral vision, a blind spot, zigzags, but there are other types of aura, like sensory and speech. So really, as we can see, this is a brain disease. So it is a serious thing in terms of it could be very disabling.
And the other thing is too, so full disclosure, I talked about having had it, and like I said, and I was kind of curious about this because, like I said, I used to get anywhere from 5 to 6 a year for the better part of 20 years. As I've gotten older, it has become less recurring. And like I said, I have made certain lifestyle choices, and I know that certain lifestyle choices, I didn't make them because of the migraines, but I have noticed that since I've changed some stuff in my life, are there strategies that people can use outside of medical intervention that can help reduce the occurrence and the recurrence of migraines?
Yes, definitely. I think that both options are important. So some patients do need pharmacological interventions, even though they do everything else right in life, and we can't live in a bubble, definitely, but there are things that can help us. So I always discuss with my patient that lifestyle changes do play a crucial role in managing and preventing migraine attacks, and that is something that they have in their hands to start with. Things that we can, work on are having a consistent routine, such as good sleep hygiene. Hydration is very important. It's underlooked many times. Eating regular meals, exercising regularly, as well as stress management. There are, relaxation techniques, things like biofeedback, meditation, mindfulness, deep breathing, yoga, and just general exercise. All of that is very, very important, as well as triggers. There is a group of triggers that we can identify are exacerbating our migraine attacks. Importantly, not everyone gets the same trigger, so it doesn't mean you have to avoid everything, but there are certain foods that we can identify trigger an attack, or skipping meals, the weather, loud noises, strong smells, stress, poor sleep, and in females, hormonal changes. So, identifying all these things can lead to an improvement in our, migraine disease.
Well, the other thing too, and by the way, you've just kind of opened the door on this too, a certain level of, even talking to somebody, a certain level of mindfulness really comes into play, because in order to understand, like I said, there is no one simple kind of equation that leads to migraine. Everybody becomes their own detective, but it's important to talk with people to figure out and to kind of do an accounting, sort of an inventory of, I'm beginning to figure out that this, and this noise, this smell, this moment are the things that tend to provoke these. And so, you must on some level, before we get to actual medical interventions, also encourage people to do sort of a mindful inventory of what puts them in situations where these trigger, correct?
Yes, correct. I think that it all starts with the individual person living with migraine. First of all, creating awareness that it's not normal to have recurrent headaches that are limiting our quality of life, and really, becoming more aware of what is exacerbating this, so that they can start, maybe avoiding certain triggers and seeking medical advice. How can I make this better? We have to look at it as a sensitive brain. The person has less tolerance towards so many external triggers, and this exacerbates the condition. So I always encourage my patients, way before you should even start treatment, you should really identify what is exacerbating it, and work on your lifestyle modification, because if we can get you better in this matter, well, that's great. Why start you on a daily medication? Unfortunately, there is a group of patients that need treatment, and that is important as well.
I wanted to also, and by the way, I have been given permission to do this. My wife, who is the person who booked you, actually manifest are so severe that they manifest in stroke-like symptoms. Like the people who don't know, or the first time you get around Claire, if it in fact happens, it can be a very scary thing, not just for her, not just for them, but for, in fact, the people around them as well. And so I kind of wanted to open the door on two things. One, how people who live with people who have debilitating migraines, how they can be a better partner. But also, I do, because I want you to talk about CGRP inhibitors, and I'll get to that in a second. But let's talk about living with people who have migraines and how we can best help them.
Yeah, I think it's extremely important to really have support from our surroundings when we live with migraine. Disclaimer, I also get migraine attacks, and I have been, for many years, I'm much better now, a chronic migraine patient, so I completely understand where you're coming from and your wife. Unfortunately, migraine is heavily stigmatized despite being so serious and disabling, as you're mentioning with your wife. You not only get the headache, you can get symptoms that can be scary. And definitely it's important to have a formal diagnosis to make sure those symptoms are part of that migraine disease. But this stigma leads to misunderstanding, underdiagnosis, and poor support for those who suffer from it. And this is because it's considered many times an invisible disease, right? Maybe if you have stroke-like symptoms, you're gonna, see the migraine attack. But a lot of times we're just internally living with the pain. And what does that what does that cause? The patient is going to feel guilt, shame, isolation, avoid activities, not want to talk about it, maybe not even seek care, feeling like, oh, I'm making this up, or this isn't that serious. But if you support the person and show them, no, this is a true disease, I understand you, how can I help? How can I help make you feel better? What can we do to avoid this? It's going to really support them in their journey to acceptance and, getting treatment. So I think that it is very important to normalize that migraine is a disease. It could be disabling. Patients do not control when it happens on many occasions, and support and education is essential.
By the way, Dr. Franchesca Fiorito joins us this morning. I'm so pleased to have her on the show on the first highway to health here on Road Gang Radio. Guys, go to migrainedisorders.org to get a whole bunch of great information as well. If you have anybody in your life, or in fact you suffer from migraines, often getting the information. That's the other thing too. I will tell you this. The first time I ever got one, doctor, I was in a Little League baseball game in an incredibly stressful moment. I got the hit, I got to second base, and I suddenly realized that on the outside, on my peripherals, I couldn't see. And it set off a wave of panic. Of course, an 11-year-old boy, that's the other thing, too. They're not limited to adults, right? Younger people suffer from these, and often it can create a great deal of confusion and actually exacerbate and lead to rebound headaches and actually making the condition worse. Stress actually acerbates the situation, even in the midst of the migraine. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. First of all, it can occur at any age. There are reports of 5-year-old children, even younger, that present with migraine attacks. And even, talking about more of the geriatric population, sometimes it is mentioned, oh, it goes away with age. Not with everyone. There is a peak in what we know as the reproductive age in females and productive age in all of us, where in adulthood, when we're working, having family, all of that, that's when it's more frequent, but it doesn't mean that it will not happen on the younger spectrum or the older spectrum. So I really say there's no limit to the age a migraine attack and migraine disease occurs. In terms of, stress and everything that's going on, really, these are all triggers that can make the disease worse. I do like to explain that if you don't have migraine disease, you are not predisposed, and you're exposed to stress, you will not get a migraine attack because you do not have the disease. So a lot of times when patients are told, oh, I have migraine because I have stress, or someone will judge someone, oh, they just have a lot of stress, that's why they have their migraine. I'm like, well, they have the disease, they were predisposed, and stress is triggering their attack. So yes, it can make it worse, but you have to have the condition to experience the migraine.
That's the other thing too, is that, that's one of the most awful things about it is sometimes you get the hit that saves the game. Sometimes you have a wonderful night where, you're given an award. There is no one simple kind of singular thing where, oh, that's it. Once we kind of master that. And at that point, medical interventions do become necessary. Can you kind of take us through them? Because I want to make sure we have enough time at the end to talk about shades for migraines in a second here. But can you talk to us through when medical intervention really becomes necessary and what forms it takes?
Yeah, of course. I think that, first of all, if we already feel like we have to avoid so many things to not have an exacerbation of this disease, medical intervention is important. If we feel we do not have control of our disease, medical intervention is important, because I love that my patients gain control of their disease. There is no cure yet. We're very hopeful for that one day, but there are so many treatment options, so we can give someone their quality of life back and control of their life. In terms of treatments, I always start with there's two types of treatments. There's the acute treatment and the preventive treatment. Acute treatment basically is what we utilize at the onset of attack to either completely stop or at least reduce the symptoms of headache as well as nausea, light sensitivity, sound sensitivity as quickly as possible so that we can return to our normal functioning. So everyone that has migraine disease, because I like to talk about it as a condition, not just headaches, but as a real neurological condition. Everyone that does live with migraine needs acute treatment. So it could be something as simple as an analgesic we find over the counter like ibuprofen, obviously knowing that it is a safe option for that patient, to a more specialized treatment option that is prescribed, such as triptans or Gepants. We can get into that if we have the time. So that is something we're going to utilize at the onset of attack so that we can really catch it and continue our day. But if a patient is already having a weekly attack, more than 4 per month, 5 or 6 just general, like headachy days, I would call it, doesn't even have to be the severe ones, or they don't have control of their attacks, they should also be on prevention. Prevention means I'm going to start you on a treatment that's going to reduce future attacks, reduce the severity and duration of those attacks as much as possible. That could be something from a daily medication, a monthly injection, or quarterly injections. There are many options. And just to mention them quickly, there are non-specific migraine preventives. It means they are medications created for other medical conditions, such as blood pressure, depression, seizures, and they were found to help in migraine. And then there's the newer CGRP blocking medications, which are targeting directly this pain molecule involved in the migraine disease. So we can get into that, but there are so many options. But the gist of it is everyone needs acute treatment at the onset of the attack so that they're not disabled that day. Many patients need prevention to reduce future attacks so that they don't keep experiencing them continuously.
I'll tell you this, my wife's experience with Botox was incredibly positive. And when they first told her, and there are a whole bunch of things, you go through the list, it's like, as you point out in the notes, there's a lot of drugs, as you're saying, that people wouldn't expect. And this is why it is so important to actually, first of all, accept what you have is a recurring condition and not an isolated event. And second, once you make that decision, to then move forward with the recommendations that your doctor makes. You really have to stay in communication with your doctor on this. This is not something that you should tackle on your own, if in fact we're talking about the severest side of this condition, correct?
I agree. It's a chronic disease. So unfortunately, it is part of the patient lifelong. It can fluctuate throughout life, but I do think that, it is something to keep in check every certain amount of time, even if you're in a good place.
The other thing is, too, as you well know, our principal audience here is over-the-road truck drivers. We have a lot of people in transportation that listen as well. But, I will tell you, there have been times in my life at the peak of experiencing this, like I said, it was like a monthly occurrence for me. I'd get them driving on the interstate, and I'd have to pull over. I mean, there'd be moments where it's like, I mean, I'm like, I can't drive. I can't literally see my rear views. I want people to understand how serious this condition is, because it's an understanding that they're willing to like, the hardest thing often is accepting that you have a condition and not just a bad day. And I know I feel like I'm beating this home, but it's really important. How do we continue to break the stigma? I guess is what I'm getting at here. What can we do, those who don't suffer or those who suffer minimally, what can we do to make sure that more people understand this is serious business?
I think, campaigns such as the Shades for Migraine campaign are really important to raise public awareness about migraine as a serious neurological disease and show solidarity with people who do suffer from it. Something that, I know we're going to get into this, the Shades for Migraine campaign basically encourages everyone to wear shades, sunglasses specifically, on June 21st, which is the longest day of the year usually, to really show, solidarity with patients that live with migraine. And post it on social media, #ShadesForMigraine, tag others, explain it. I mean, just be very, open about this disease so that others can understand it. I think that helps spread awareness and educate. I think this is why, even this segment we're doing now is really important, because everyone that's hearing this, if they don't live with the disease, they probably know someone that does. And, it keeps spreading the word. So the more we spread the word, the more we are open about it, verbal, public about it, the better. We normalize it. We make it a common disease that is being, present, which is present between so many people, which is true. We all know someone that lives with migraine, even if it's not one of us.
By the way, guys, you can go to shadesformigraine.org is where you should head over to find out about that. By the way, our sponsor, one of our sponsors is absolutely delighted we're doing this segment. It's Shady Rays. We have a sunglasses sponsor, by the way, who's probably over the moon that we're having this conversation, which is a really groovy thing. And we got those wonderful promotional glasses as well too.
The purple one.
Why did y'all pick purple? I'm just curious.
That's the official color for the Migraine Awareness Month. June is Migraine Awareness Month, and purple is the formal color. So that's why the sunglasses are purple as well. And why sunglasses? How do we know someone has a migraine? It's really hard at times, but one of the most common symptoms is light sensitivity. And you may see someone using sunglasses indoors, or, your population, the truck drivers, the sun, the glare, and during a migraine attack, that can be very difficult for their daily job. And sunglasses really, protect them from getting worse. So if we see someone indoors with wearing sunglasses or something, then we should understand, okay, maybe they're having a migraine attack. That's a visible way of seeing it. So wearing them on that day just shows that we're supporting people that live with this.
I'll tell you something else too. One of the things I did discover, one of my trigger points, was late afternoon driving into the sun. Even with the even with the shade down, even with the the sun blocker down, I found that driving late in the afternoon into the sun for some reason became a trigger point for me. So I've made a real effort to kind of reduce that as well. I did ask you a question a little bit earlier, and I want to kind of go through it again, just because, like I said, my wife was really excited about this. CGRP inhibitors. Explain.
Yes. So there has been a great evolution in the treatment of migraine throughout the last few years, specifically since 2018 now. So it's been 7 great years, and definitely, hopefully, better years to come. So CGRP stands for calcitonin gene-related peptide. This is a molecule that's found in the brain and nervous system that plays a key role in causing the pain and inflammation associated with migraine attacks. So basically, someone who's predisposed, when they have a migraine attack, different regions of the brain are releasing CGRP, this pain molecule, we can call it, that really is making everything worse. So we want to block the activity of this molecule or the receptor where this molecule binds. And for many years, since the 90s, it has been identified this molecule to be a very important molecule to target. But now we have a group of medications that have been FDA approved that target the activity of this pain molecule and reduce migraine attacks long term or treat them acutely. So one of the groups is called the monoclonal antibodies. They are monthly injections or quarterly injections that could be subcutaneous. There's one that's an IV infusion that will reduce migraine attacks long term. And then there are oral medications that are called GPANs. They're small molecule CGRP blockers. Basically, you either take it at the onset of an attack or you can take it on a daily or every other day basis. So this is a group of medications that are specifically targeting, CGRP, which is really one of the main causes of migraine disease. So we have migraine-specific medications now. Botox, which, your wife is using, years ago, it was discovered in 2010 when patients would place it incidentally for cosmetic reasons, but they would be like, oh, wait, my migraines are better. So throughout the years, it was approved for migraine treatment and chronic migraine patients specifically. So your wife may be a chronic migraine patient if she's been on Botox, which means half of the time or more she's had headaches. And this, incidentally also blocks the release of CGRP. So it's a good accident that was discovered because now this is also a migraine-specific treatment. It's not like, oh, it relaxes muscles or it's a cosmetic medication. No, it's a real, true treatment for migraine as well. And I like to mention that because, we think of Botox and we think of cosmetic, but really has so many indications.
We are out of time. Remarkable. Terrific. I can't thank you enough, Dr. Fiorito. Absolutely great. One more time, tell people where they can go to get more information.
Yes, please go to chaseformigraine.org so you can read more about this global campaign. In addition, you can go to the American Migraine Disorders page and American Migraine Foundation. There you can find so much great information to really help learn about migraine and all the treatments.
Thank you for being the first guest on Highway to Health on Road Gang Radio. We've been doing this forever for about 20 years, but in regards to this new platform, you are our first guest. Couldn't ask for a better one. Thank you, Doctor. Hey guys, give us a call at 615-292-6366 because Road Gang Radio slips into its second act as Lindsey Lawler joins me from 9 to 11 in the center of the country here on RadioNemo.com, over on the Tube of You as well. You can find us on the Book of Face and then on streaming platforms everywhere as we make our way further down the road. Phone Master Dre, it is okay if you say, let's have some music at this very day. Oh, Nelly, rumbling, bumbling, stumbling, touchdown. 40 yards of green. Or asphalt. Woo! Lindsey Lawler coming up.
Not bad. Really sure on time, but your road is long. Meaning it's a minute to get there just before dawn. But all you gotta do is pick up the phone and dial my number. I'm the one you want.
Exceptional value and exceptional values. That's Bennett Trucking. A core commitment of faith, family, and freedom has driven Bennett to being the leading provider of innovative, integrated transportation solutions, both at home and abroad. Bennett's values are not just compatible with providing high-paying jobs and unmatched customer service. They're inseparable. If you're looking for an employer or a partner who believes the best business model is being a model citizen, then Bennett Trucking is the place for you. Go to BennettIG.com and find the folks who share your values.
Wait a minute. Are you running all of your rig's accessories?
All of them. You like that?
No, why would I? Your engine's turned off.
That means I ain't violating no idling laws. You like that?
No, why would I? That means you're running off your battery.
I'm running on an Odyssey battery. You like that?
No, Wait, did you say an Odyssey battery?
Odyssey battery. Rugged, maintenance-free, thin plate pure lead technology, and massive deep cycling capability. Plenty of reserve power to run onboard accessories. Engine on or off. Twice the power, 3 times the life of conventional batteries. That's an Odyssey battery. You like that?
No, I don't like that. I love that. Wait a minute. The crickets stopped.
Odyssey hasn't.
Get yourself an Odyssey battery. Performance you can count on.
Do it.
Oh, it's that time to have a good time. Start your engines. You're tuned to Rogue Gang Radio live from FASTPORT Studios in New Orleans with Jimmy Mack and Lindsey Lawler? Question mark.
Hey, girl, hey!
Yeah.
Let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go.
So excited.
Radio. Oh, Lindsey Lawler.
Hey, ho, let's go. Hey, ho, it's Rogue Gang Radio.
There we go. Good variation.
Ha, ha. Hey, man. Welcome to the show. Welcome.
Listen, guys. I put on a dress for this. I shaved my legs for this.
I got a
Something that the
collar
listeners can't even see, but I put on a dress. I've even got a little Hawaiian doily situation in my hair.
Yes.
I am ready for radio where no one can see me. Good morning.
Oh, mother of mercy. By the way, you saw the pictures from yesterday, Lindsay. I know you saw the pictures. Everybody came dressed to the nines. Drake came dressed nice today, too. So did I. I took the jacket off as the morning went on. Dave came in looking like, the grooviest guy on the planet, which was amazing. You look terrific.
Well, thank you. I was waiting for you to say that.
Yeah. Oh, I was the build-up. I mean, the thing is, nobody can compete. Nothing compares to you. And I have to tell you, I am so excited. We're still figuring things out. But I got to tell you, man, to actually bump on over just for a second during the time that our good friend Susan Patton was doing Reads Across America and jump on the chat over at YouTube just to tell people thanks for being a part of the show. Your friend Mike Reagan is over there. He gave us a shout out.
Reagan.
Mike
Love you,
Reagan.
Mike.
And the Doodah Man actually put his name on there as the Doodah Man. He jumped on.
Doodah Man.
And we got a Master Sergeant. All kinds of folks are contributing over there. Guys, give us a shout out over there. As a matter of fact, send us some love as well, too. Hit that love button. I was thinking about that, Lindsay. I was thinking about love the other night in the parking lot. I know, exactly. It was exciting.
Did you get pulled over or get arrested after that, or what?
No, actually, it was the cop, actually. No,
Ew.
The thing is, though, I was thinking about this for a long time. There are people who, I used to get aggravated at people who hit the love button. They get all these options. You can like it, you can love it, you can be sad, you can give them a hug, etc. ad nauseum. I mean, there's going to be, by the time it's over with, we're going to have a complicated language by which you can just literally punch one button and communicate the world. I've become a big fan of hitting that love button. I've become a big fan of sharing the love. I
hit the love button last night. Ew. No, hey, no, just kidding. No, but what's weird to me...
No, we can do that. We can do that.
We can say whatever we want now. I can be as weird as I want now.
That's
the
I'm
beauty
Sirius
of Rogue Gang Radio.
You need to control yourself. This is the corporate headquarters to nowhere. We are the corporate headquarters.
Yeah, go screw yourself, corporate headquarters. Here's my thing on that. It's so weird to me, especially when people post their dog died or their grandma died or something. Loving that feels weird. And but sadding it feels weird. I don't want to love. It's like did you hear the story about the grandmother who she thought LOL meant something lots of love, so she kept LOLing when people would die. When people's my grandma died, and she's like LOL. You're no, you're using that wrong, Granny. But it's that kind of thing. It's I don't want to. Yeah, Morgan Wallen would do it.
Exactly.
It's a kind of crappy thing Morgan Wallen would do. Hey, by the way, his name is mentioned, of course, today in Country Music News coming up at 10:30.
We can't escape him.
We got a fun one for you guys today at 10:30 on Country and Western Music News. But when somebody on Facebook, if you're my grandma died, being love, I definitely don't want to like it because I don't like that your grandma died. I also don't love that your grandma died, but I also don't want a sad face. Yeah, Dre, what do I do?
Is it okay to do the care button on Facebook? Because I do care
What's
one.
a care button?
Oh, you don't do the Facebook enough, Lindsay. Matter of fact, and by the way,
don't.
you are a richer person for it, by the way.
I know that.
The only bigger place of scum and villainy than Facebook is, in fact, X. I mean, X really is the most Isley's cantina of
The only
places.
reason anybody should be on Facebook anymore is if that's the only way you can hear our show live. Other than that,
Oh, nicely
that's
done.
it. Thank you.
Facebook.com. Of course, you can hear us over at YouTube.com at Radio Nemo, and you can hear us on RadioNemo.com, at least in the live and in the now. But you can also keep on. Man, it's just groovy to see you, dude. You look great.
Thank you. Say it again.
You look great. You look tan-fastic.
You look fantastic.
You look
Thank you.
fantastic, baby. Yeah, baby. Give us a call. Give us a 615-292. And we get to keep the number. 615-292-6366.
That's 615-292. Nemo, please call and say hi to us because this is our first day on Road Gang Radio, which we haven't decided yet if it's going to be like Road Gang Radio has fill in the blank for 7 to 9, and then Road Gang Radio fill in the blank for 9 to 11 when my stupid ass appears. Yes, Dre, thoughts?
On that note, speaking of stupid ass, hi, I'm Andre. Lindsay, I just wanted to say from the bottom of my heart, it's a pleasure to have you on the second day of the
Aw,
show. Wish you were
thanks, Fred.
here, but it's a pleasure to have you.
I wish I was there too, but Jim, can we talk about what's going to happen in July? Maybe like we may be all getting together, and we may be like have a ribbon cutting. And did we make that official idea yesterday about when that's going to launch?
Well, the moment you kind of signed up, the moment you kind of said jump around, jump up, and truck down, the moment you said that, I do want to point out to you that put the ball in motion. Couple of things are at play here. So we were talking about Lindsay's got a show. We got the third of these shows. There are 3 shows: Nemo Nation, which debuted yesterday; Road Gang Radio, which comes in 2 parts, Tuesday through Friday. The first 2 hours are trucking centric. The second 2 hours are. Don't you just want to have a good time? Don't you just want to go and do things, the going and the doing and all that kind of groovy stuff? After we kind of get those 2 locked in, the third, and equally important, because things come in trifectas and in trilogy, is a little show that Lindsay's come up with called...
We Should Write, right?
Right. We Should Write, right. And we are going to be, and we were discussing what day to launch that to give Lindsay enough lead-up time to make sure that we actually had enough time to promote it properly. So our friend Brad Bentley, who, by the way, did a terrific job this morning.
He did. And I texted him, you know what I thought? Because I always call him BB. Mm-hmm. So I texted this morning, I said, I wish I was there with BB, my king, live. So now he's BB, not BB King, he's BB the King. Continue.
Oh, I like that very much. BB the King, Roll Tide. So we were playing around with dates, and we decided that the first week in July would just not be a good idea because of 4th of July and people taking vacations. And we got to the next week in July, and we said, well, look, you're still kind of spilling over from the vacation stuff. So we thought at the time the 16th. We thought, well, July 16th is a good launch day. There we go. That's a good day. Then we pivoted. Go ahead,
Pivot.
Sam. So we pivoted. And Brad Bentley had suggested that since FASTPORT, by the way, who's out there solving America's toughest recruiting challenges, Brad Bentley said, hey, look, you know what? It's Tales of the Cocktail happening in New Orleans the week of the 23rd, Wednesday the 23rd.
Tales of the Cocktails. I don't know what it is, but I'm in.
Oh, my God. It's like where
Say less.
The 100 or so greatest bars in the United States and the world actually descend upon New Orleans.
What?
And there are pop-up bars everywhere. A lot of bars get invaded by other bars. It's amazing.
Wow.
And so Brad said, well, it's Tales of the Cocktail, and there's a lot of stuff going on, so why don't we have a ribbon-cutting ceremony over here at the Degas House, at the historic Degas House? We can actually show people what we have put together. That gives us time to put what I call Phase 2. Phase 1 was making this place picture-worthy.
Phase 1 was, do we have a signal?
Yeah.
Houston, can we hear you?
Phase 1 was, whew. So Phase
Nailed
1
it.
is over.
Nailed
We
it.
got that done. Big
Way
shout
to
out.
go, Nick DeMeo.
Nick
Huge
DeMeo.
shout out.
Big shout out to him. So we did that. But then we decided, hey, how about Phase 2 be a grand opening? And by the way, you're all invited. A big opening party. And Lindsay went, whoa, hold on a second. Why don't we just have a little bit of a opening of not just the studio, but of We Should Write.
Right.
Right. And that's how we're going to do it. Lindsay's going to have a live broadcast from the Degas House to open up her new show. And that evening, we're going to have an extravaganza.
I'd say not even that evening. I'd say, so that means we're on 7 to 12 that day.
Right.
We Should Write being from 11 to 12. And dude, come noon on that Wednesday, it's go time. All bets are off. Dre, make sure Chelsea's in town. all of our significants there.
Roger.
Meet the whole gang, and we're going to have ourselves a party all day, all night, I think.
And by the way, I've decided to now have a new segment called Replay Thursday. Yeah, because we're gonna.
Yes. Thank you.
We're gonna do a replay on Thursday. No, Thursday the 24th. We're gonna do a replay. No, we'll figure it out. We'll be one step ahead of the sheriff as we always are. Lindsey, Lawler, Jimmy Mack, Phone Master Dre, and by the way, we don't have to break it away. The pledge, national anthem, all done. The good Reverend has said his thing. By the way, Lindsey, we had the coolest idea, and then we'll start getting some phone calls in here because I know we got some, right, Dre? Okay. We're gonna hold off on that for a second. Okay, fantastic. But you can call at 615-292-6366.
That's 615-292 Nemo. Call us. We love you.
We love you. Get in, jump in, be a part of the conversation. There are people contributing over on the chat. I totally lost my train of thought because I got obsessed with talking about phone calls. Where were we? What were we talking about? What was happening? What were we doing?
I don't know. No idea.
Did we just completely lose the train here?
No, you were about to say you did something really cool when you brought up the fact of her and the national anthem after that.
Oh, yeah. Oh, okay. So, Brad, nicely done. Dre with the get that gets us going.
I don't listen to you, so that's going to be Dre's job for sure.
What? What? Wow. So listen. Here it is. If you go to Radio Nemo, not Radio Nemo, if you go to weekends@radionemo.com and send us an email, #RGR, if you do that, Brad and I talked about this yesterday. So we do the Pledge of Allegiance with a bunch of kids who, we've recorded this lovely thing with these kids saying the pledge. We are making an offer to anybody. If there is a grammar school, if there is a Boy Scout troop, a Girl Scout troop, if there is an organization of kids who would like to record the Pledge of Allegiance and do it on our show, we will rotate it. We will give them the shout out. If you've got, a Little League baseball team that wants to say the pledge, and we will cut it. Once you guys cut it and send it to us, we'll clean it up, and we will make it the pledge that morning, and we will give all those groovy kids a shout out. We are happy to do that. That's the kind of fun stuff we can do now that we couldn't do before because our corporate overlords, or as I call them, the Death Star, are no longer with us, and that's a really amazing thing.
Ding dong, the witch is dead.
We got a really cool show today, by the way. Really groovy show. Really great things
we
happening.
We do. Dude, this author coming up at 9:30, what the actual hell is going on with this story? Good Lord Almighty. You guys, this is it. It always baffles me when there are these stories that are so freaking unbelievable. And I'm like, how have I not heard about this? How is the entire world not talking about this? But anyway, Jerry Jamison, author of the book Vanishing Act, is joining us at 9:30. And this is the craziest story you've ever heard, Jim.
By the way, it's Vanishing Act, and I'll let the colon take care of the rest.
Yeah, you take the backside of that for me.
Colon, backside. A crashed airliner, faked death, and backroom abortions. 39 years, 20...
What's not to love?
Exactly. 39 years, 23 aliases, 28 arrests in 20 cities, and nearly a dozen imprisonments. Robert Spears had lived a con artist life of unparalleled adventure and intrigue. This is his story. As a matter of fact, the first announcement we get of the story that is the center of Spears' story actually is a news report from WWL 870. He is one of the characters is driving to New Orleans and ends up listening to WWL 870, where he gets the notice of a airline crash in the Gulf of Mexico where 42 people have died, and supposedly one of them was Dr. Robert Spears. Supposedly one of them is Dr. Robert Spears, and Jerry Jamison has a remarkable story. And a terrifying story and a gruesome story. The opening story in the book is horrifying, where it ends up being a gunfight in a Texas town where somebody gets their finger shot off and an old lady has a gun put to the back of her head over an argument about a missing $495. It's really fun.
Well, and what's also cool about this is Jerry Jamison, the author, mainly he's worked in the advertising world, but he's got a ton of books out. He's written, I don't even know how many, but like more than 30 books, but he's a fiction writer. And so this, which is not fiction, but it makes sense that a fiction writer would write it because you're reading this and you're like, clearly this has got to be fiction. It ain't. This is a true freaking story, y'all. That's why it makes Jerry the perfect author for it. Super intriguing.
And as you pointed out too, I mean, this is in many ways, this is this story's coming out party. Although he is quick in his research acknowledgments to talk about the two people who actually looked at the plane crash itself, but the story of the man who put these events into motion is never been told. And it's one of the great this guy D.B. Cooper looks like a genuine good guy compared to Spears, because D.B. Cooper, at the end of the day, didn't kill anybody. D.B. Cooper wasn't a murderer. D.B. Cooper wasn't, was a different kind of con man. He was a lovable rascal rogue. This dude is bad news, and it's a great story. And the cover of the book, by the way, Lindsay, he looks exactly like you think he would look.
Creeper Town.
That's a pretty terrific first guest here on Road Gang Radio. We're also excited about our second guest, who is a genuine bona fide friend of the show and collaborator with Lindsey Lawler.
Yeah, dude, so excited. So Rick Rain, in my truck. Rapper Rick Rain is joining us. We got to meet him in person at the Mid-America Truck Show back in March. And I went up to him. He came to our house to broadcast from the Nemo headquarters, Nemo Nation headquarters. Or he came up over to interview, and then he was on stage with us live at Matt's. And I said to him the first time I met him, I was like, hey, I've always wanted to do like this country rap collaboration that's like Patsy Cline meets Bone Thugs and Harmony. And he was like, dude, I was just on the phone with Busy Bone last week. And I was like, shut your face. And I freaked out and I got so excited. And what I love about what happened between us is I said, I'd love to collaborate. He said, yo, me too, let's do it. And 2 weeks later, we were actually doing it. Like we followed through, we kept on it. We have now... Jim, I'm so excited to play for y'all, not today, but what we're working on, because the track is done. Basically, he flew in with his producer, this guy, Kopi, who's a monster. He's a badass. He flew in with him, and then I brought Mark Evitz, who's a producer I work with and a brilliant musician, a composer for Apple TV, and has just won an Emmy. The four of us got in a room, such different creative collaboration, and the track that came out is so cool, and Rick and I are finishing up the vocals on it. Now it's called The Other Side, and it's this weird, I don't think it has a genre, which is why I love it. Anyway, Rick's going to join us today. He was last night at the BET Awards out in LA, and I watched those last night, so I want to talk about him today too. Snoop's speech getting the Icon Award was epic, so we're going to talk about it when Rick is on later today.
National treasure, Snoop Dogg. National treasure, personal friends with Martha Stewart, Snoop Dogg. Yeah.
Well, they were giving away the Icon Award, and 4 people won the Icon Award last night. It was Snoop Dogg, Mariah Carey, Jamie Foxx, and Keith Franklin, the gospel singer.
Yes.
Keith or
Franklin. Kirk Franklin.
Kirk, thank you.
Well done,
Kirk Franklin. Gotcha. Kirk Franklin, who is, oh my gosh, what a hoot that guy is. What a weirdo. And when Kirk accepted, he was so funny. He's like, this is so great because I don't even know how to sing. And I'm winning the Gospel Icon Award tonight. Because he doesn't. He really just dances. He plays the piano. He writes the songs. And he makes a lot of noises. But it was epic. Mariah Carey was on as many medications as you would have thought. God bless her. But she's... here's the thing they said last night that was so cool. They're like, about Mariah Carey, say what you will, but what really hit me was they were like, listen, you want a ballad? She's had you for 30 years. You want a ballad? She's got you. You want an upbeat dance song? She's got you. You want to know when Christmas has started? She's got you.
Oh, she's got everybody.
On got
Christmas,
everybody.
she got everybody, as a matter of fact.
She's done a collaboration with everyone. She has done everything. She's the soundtrack, whether you like her or not, the soundtrack to so many parts of our lives. And so she could be as weird as she wants as far as
Sinatra came back from the dead to do a collaboration with Mariah Carey.
That speaks volumes.
That speaks volumes. As a matter of fact, it's really creepy when you actually hear it. By the way, people are actually participating over on the Tube of You. Zach Vaughn asked if he could just record his kids saying the national anthem. But in all seriousness, when the kids get back into school, I will see if their teachers are interested. But I said, Zach, if you got enough kids, you absolutely can do it. You can absolutely do it.
Because we can double your kids' voices and make it sound like there's more of them. That's what we've done before, guys.
We got some talented folks over here, don't we, Trey?
I just had a good idea. Why don't we have the kids of Radio Nemo get together? Because you like your kid, Donna's kid, whoever else has kids.
Chelsea's kids.
We can get Gustavo.
Tara's dogs.
We can Tara's dogs in the background. What we can also do is we'll make a deal with you. We will do
Nick's kids, Nick DeMayo's kids.
Nick DeMayo's kids. We will do the kids of Radio Nemo if one of you guys comes through and sends us a recording of your kids or your classroom or the group of sick people that rally around you. That's what we want you to get there first, because at the end of the day, you have to get there first if anybody's going to get anything. Hey, that's a pretty good transition.
Yep.
I kind of like that.
Yep.
Kind of like putting that one out there, by the way. You got a chance to hear yesterday's show as well, too, Lindsay.
Of course I did.
Boy, Dave sounds like a new man, doesn't he?
You know what Dave sounds like? He sounds like a guy whose shirt's unbuttoned.
And he was.
I know.
And he
you
was.
could tell. You could hear it.
Shirt too.
I'm telling
I could hear his shirt unbuttoned in the mix.
It turned out that the old man had a little gas left in his tank, right, Trey?
Oh man, 100%. You know what the blessing was yesterday, and I don't mean to call him out. A certain button on the desk over here.
Oh, the cough button, dude.
Oh man,
oh
God
my
bless
God.
that thing.
He has this old thing from the old days, Lindsay. It's called the cough drop. It's literally a button called the cough drop. And Dave went out and actually got the cords and the wires, because Dave's good with the wires, and he hooked up the new thing. And let me tell you something, man. Dre's getting a picture of it right now for everybody. Going to send it out there. Going to give it to T. The cough drop is where it's at. He's showing it to Lindsay right now.
Love
How about
it.
that? The cough drop. So Dave can hit it, get his cough on. Nobody ever knows it, and we just keep on rolling along. It was really exciting. Lots of great phone calls, lots of great guests, just like today. Lindsay, do you want to talk a little bit about where we're taking this show? You want to have a moment? Because there really is something that connects to both our regular friends, the people who have listened with us for a long time, and also any new friends that are welcoming to this experience. You want to start this party off?
Sure, I would love to. So what we're calling, part 2 of Road Gang Radio, we're on from 7 to 11 each day. 7 to 9, as Jimmy said, and as you guys heard this morning, is trucking-centric. Still have some of those popular segments that you know and love, and it will really be about you, the driver, and the companies that employ you, and just still finding out what's going on the road, what's coming up. But then 9 to 11 kicks in, and that's when we really dive into all things travel, culture, tech, entertainment, anything that happens when you're out on the road. We want to celebrate the culture of living out on the road, living your life on the road, whether that's as a driver or a weekend warrior. Maybe you're on the road as a musician or a traveling salesperson, whatever it may be, and what you like to do on your off time as well. Sort of, a bit of an offshoot from the Weekend 34. And what we really came up with the idea of, which Jim and I are going to ask all of our guests at the end of the show. We will talk to Jerry Jamison and Rick Rain about this as well. It's going to be sort of 3 questions. So everybody listening right now can get their head around this. And I think that these questions, Jim, will help people sort of mold their road trips even, and plan out their time, especially if you're a driver, plan out that time that when you have those hours off. So the 3 questions are, if you have that time, if you could go anywhere tomorrow, if you find yourself with 2 days off, or however many, 2, 10, 20, where are you going? How are you getting there? And what are you listening to along the way? Those 3 questions, along with our 3 flagship shows, I think are really going to be the core of what we're talking about again here and where this show is going. So I'll say it again. Where are you going? How are you getting there? And what are you listening to along the way? So if I asked you that, Jimmy Mack, say you had this weekend off, and you do now. Where are you going? How you getting there? And what are you listening to along the way, brother?
Well, I can tell you straight up that I'm not going to Ocean Springs. Sorry, Dre, I'm not doing that. I spent enough time there over the last couple of weeks.
Love you, mean it.
I love you, mean it. But I spent enough time over the last couple of weeks. Basically, if in fact I decide to get a little bit of a wild one, I am going to go to Mississippi. I have some relatives in Pass Christian that I love. They actually have a whole bunch of what are those? What is it? They're like motorcycles for the water. What are those things called?
Jet skis.
Sea-Doos.
Jet skis. They have jet skis. So a couple of jet skis. I would love to jump on some jet skis.
Motorcycles for the water.
Yeah, I mean, they kind of are. I couldn't think about jet ski. People are going.
That's like their new ad campaign. Hey, buy our new Sea-Doo. It's like a motorcycle for the water. That's actually brilliant.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
You said something dumb, but it was actually brilliant.
Yeah. What you got, Trey?
Well, I'm gonna add something to your list to do this weekend and Pass Christian.
What
you know
got,
what just
Tom?
opened, huh?
What just opened?
Oh God, guys, y'all not ready.
Nudie bar. Nudie bar.
No, that's down the road.
Okay.
Just pasties. Let me tell you.
Is it called just pasties?
No, that used to be the place. I was in Biloxi, but now it's a big play, kind of Dave and Buster's place. So, yeah.
Hard left.
Yeah,
okay, go on.
Just
Sorry.
burned the building down and rebuilt on top of it. The first in Mississippi Buc-ee's open up in Pass Christian
good
yesterday.
Oh, I saw that.
Beaver nuggets.
I saw that.
Beaver nuggets.
I was-
I'm not
Speaking of
going
strip
to talk about beaver nuggets.
Got sick off of 'em?
I won't be doing
Lord.
that. But I was hoping you would tell me, like, Denham Springs used to have an amazing water park in it, and then it doesn't exist anymore. I was hoping you'd tell me there was a water park in Pass Christian.
give them their flowers, man. Buc-ee's, give them their
I'm not
flowers.
giving nobody nothing around here.
I'm going to get a red, white, and blue Buc-ee's bikini.
You want one? I'll go get it for you.
Yeah, buddy.
When you come to town.
As soon as you get me my Buc-ee's bikini.
I-
Is that like
I'll
a
give it to you
beaver
when
on
you
each
get here.
boobie?
Yeah.
A beaver on each boobie? Okay, so you're going to. So where are you going now, Jim? Take me back. Where are you going? How are you getting there?
I'm gonna borrow my brother's truck because I don't.
Yep.
I'm not gonna take the Subaru. I'm not gonna take Dave's car out on the road that far. But
Okay.
I am gonna take my brother's truck. We're gonna drive
Okay.
over to Pass Christian. He and I are gonna stop for a really nice lunch at my uncle's restaurant, and then we're gonna get on a couple of jet skis, motorcycles for the water, and we're gonna tool around the Intercoastal Canal. That's what I'm gonna do. What are
That's
you doing?
nice.
Where are you going? What are you doing, Lou?
Well, I'm going to tell you what I did this past weekend because I would
I
do
like
it
it.
again. I would do it again. I drove in my car with my daughter, to the two of us. If I could go back and do it, I'm going to get on that like outdoorsy site where you can rent an RV for the weekend. It's like Airbnb for which we need to. By the way, Donna, if you're listening, or or Nick, Outdoorsy needs to be a sponsor for us, or somebody that likes Lazy Days RV, something, because I love the idea that it's like Airbnb for an RV. You pick it up, it's gassed up, it's ready to go. And we drove to Gatlinburg, which is about a 4-hour drive from us in Franklin, Tennessee, and home of Dollywood. We went to Splash Country, Dollywood's water park, my daughter and I, and another family and their daughter this weekend. And it was great. We rented this beautiful house up in the mountains. It was really cool. But what the coolest part about it was actually the drive home. First of all, I was listening to you guys on the radio for one, so that was fun. But I was listening to you guys on the radio, on the iHeart app, because that's how I can listen very easily in my car, as you guys can do rolling down the road. Just go to iHeart and type in Radio Nemo, free, boom, you're listening. That's how I listened yesterday. And was driving through the mountains, and I took the back way, Jim. So we went through the national park. It's Cherokee National Park up there, and we passed some really cool campgrounds. And I felt like I was in Colorado. We were in the mountains with the streams trickling to the right by us, the whole, the babbling brook to the right of us the whole way. It was so beautiful. I had the windows down. I was listening to you, pretending I was in an RV in the mountains, and my heart was so, so happy.
My heart is happy just to be here with you and Phone Master Dre over here in, we're at the historic Degas House. That, of course, has been brought to you by FASTPORT, solving America's toughest recruiting and workforce challenges. Big shout out to our friends at truckdown.com. Truck around, truck up,
jump up, and
get
truck down.
50 states, 8 provinces. They're hooking up maintenance providers with the people who need those repairs on the road. Go to truckdown.com. We got to take a quick break here, Lindsay. When we come back, well, our first guest of the morning is here. Can't wait to talk to him. It's a wonderful book. You're going to love it. We'll be right back. It's Road Gang Radio. Hashtag RGR. Stands for Roger, stands for Road Gang Radio, also stands for the Resistance. Biscuits and gravy is still on the table if you make that call, and you can prove it.
Are you on the hunt for the perfect place to recharge after a long day or week on the road? Look no further. Hotels for Truckers, designed by truckers for truckers, provides free membership that unlocks access to deep discounts and spacious tractor-trailer parking at thousands of popular hotel chains nationwide. Enjoy incredible discounts, earn valuable points, and enjoy a great night's rest. Download the Hotels for Truckers app today and make your long hauls more restful and affordable.
Do you want to get the most out of your diesel engine? With Pittsburgh Power's Max Mileage Fuel Catalyst, you'll experience extended engine life, fewer regenerations, and a smoother, quieter engine every time you hit the road. Their advanced formula reduces wear and tear, helps you maximize performance, and get the most mileage out of your parts. Don't settle for less. Unlock the full potential of your vehicle with Max Mileage Fuel Catalyst. Visit PittsburghPower.com to order yours today.
Check out the new over-the-top lineup at participating Country Pride and Iron Skillet restaurants. 3 gigantic sandwiches loaded with flavor. Try the chicken parm stack, the big country combo, or the ultimate smash melt. The ultimate smash melt. 2 delicious smash burger patties, surrounded by 2 grilled cheese sandwiches. 2 sandwiches in 1. Visit your favorite Country Pride or Iron Skillet restaurant and come hungry.
Available for dine-in only at participating Country Pride and Iron Skillet restaurants inside TA or Petro Travel Centers.
The Joshua Chamberlain Society is unlike any other veterans organization. It's truly a family, and I know that firsthand from working with them myself. Their mission is to make wounded veterans and families of deceased veterans feel the support and appreciation of their community for life. Our veterans' injuries are permanent, and so is the JCS support. From monetary assistance like paying utility bills or college funds to helping our heroes find purpose, JCS is a family that surrounds and supports the heroes who have sacrificed so much. Learn more and make your donation at chamberlainsociety.org. That's chamberlainsociety.org.
Y'all on back with our guest and Lindsay and Jimmy on Road Dog Radio. Road Gang.
Woo! Good morning, Lindsay Lawler. We got ourselves a wonderful guest coming up here in just one moment. Really groovy stuff. Can you hear me, Lindsay? I'm getting a little head shake no from Lindsay. Let's try to get her on the game.
There you
There you are. Hey, good morning to you, by the way. Road Gang
Getting
Radio
used to these
is
mixes, but we got it figured out.
We're in the learning process. We're in the curve, man. It's exciting to have all these new guests on and new friends of the show. Lindsay, would you care to do the honors in introducing our first guest of this particular segment? I can do it for us as well too, if you would like. I can take care of that.
Sure. Why don't you do it?
I will do it. I will take care of it. Guys, by the way, Jerry Jamison is the guest, and this book is nothing short of what the living hell and amazing at the same time. 39 years, 23 aliases, 28 arrests in 20 cities, and nearly a dozen imprisonments. Robert Spears is at the heart of a book that is entitled Vanishing Act, a crashed airliner, fake death, and backroom abortions. And Jerry Jamison joins us this morning. I wanted to make sure that we were clear that Robert Spears and not Jerry Jamison is the one who had 39 aliases. I want to make sure that we're
thank you for clearing that up.
Yeah.
Our author thanks you.
Yeah, and by the way, he's an award-winning advertising copywriter. He's got more than 30 national writing commendations during his career. Following those years as a copywriter, he turned to a career as a novelist, more than 30 books in a wide range of genres. He's been the recipient of numerous national awards, including a national commendation alongside Senator Edward Kennedy for his service to underserved communities. He is, he's a Westmont College alum with a degree in sociology and currently lives with his wife in Chula Vista, California. Hey, Jerry, welcome as our first book guest here on Road Gang Radio.
Well, thank you. It's quite an honor then to be here.
It's an honor to have you. This is huge. Okay, so Jerry, I want to start here. This book read more like fiction because it's so hard to believe one person could pull off so many schemes using so many, having so many identities and get away with it for so long. But with the lack of technology, I guess it was certainly easier back then, perhaps. But anyway, what I want to dive into first. So I've always been drawn to natural remedies and the mind-body connection, things like breathwork, energy work, healing from the inside out, etc. So first of all, the word, is it naturopathy? How do I say that?
Naturopathy.
Naturopathy. Thank you. Okay. But in his world, it was almost like a mask to cover up some really dark stuff. So what I want to know, he was Dr. Robert Spears was a naturopath. And from what I understand, that can mean anything from herbal medicine to homeopathy to talk therapy. So what exactly was Spears doing under that title? Was he ever helping people, do you think? And you talk about this in the book, but for our audience, or was it always a front for the bigger cons?
Well, to understand Dr. Spears, you have to realize he is wholly and completely a con man. There is no other substance to Dr. Spears other than an opportunity or an angle to con someone in some way out of their money. So there is no true substance to him. In fact, he never even knew his real name. There was never a time in his life where he knew his real name because since childhood, since his earliest memories in Oklahoma, let's just say that his mother had a lot of boyfriends. And so she just moved from place to place to place, anyone that would put her up and she would live with for a while. And she had this habit of changing his name at every stop, which might mean every month. So he just continued to get, none of those are his aliases, by the way. Those were all criminal aliases. But he never really went to school, elementary school or high school or anything. So I think he grew up believing what people do is they just change who they are with every stop. And that tells us a lot about him because that's exactly what he did. He just became a new persona when he felt like either had to escape something or it fit him best in his world. In the course of this long career, 40 years of crime, he becomes a naturopath. A naturopath is, probably for the listeners, the best way to think about it is kind of a holistic approach to medicine. What's important to know is in the 40s and the 50s when he was operating, there were the same number of naturopaths as there were medical physicians in America. So the membership of the American Medical Association and the American Naturopathic Association was roughly the same number. And that was largely because coming out of, say, the Depression era and all that, this was when there was the introduction of vaccines, the introduction of medicines that were based on chemicals. And by and large, people didn't trust that. So they had more trust in their grandmothers' and mothers' remedies. And so naturopaths, followed that line of thinking for them. So he became a naturopath. Now, I should say, to become a naturopath, you had to have a college degree. You had to have a medical license at the time. He neither attended college for one day nor attended medical school for one day. He simply purchased diplomas. He purchased a medical degree for $500 out of the trunk of a car, his diploma in Maryland, and set himself up as a naturopath, a doctor. He moved to Florida, and this is kind of an interesting part of understanding him. He moved to Texas. He really just kind of researched all the states, realized that Texas was the only state in the United States where you could transfer a medical license without having to become recertified, having to prove that you were a doctor, a medical doctor. By the way, he put MD after his name, so he actually elevated himself in that regard too. All of his stationery had MD after his name. So he moves to Texas, but the reason he moves to Texas, along with the fact that he can transfer his license, and once you become licensed in Texas, you are licensed forever. So it's never can be questioned again. So he goes there, and I have copies, ironically, copies of his actual advertisements in the Dallas Morning News when he had set up his clinic, and he was advertised as an OBGYN. And his ads read, a specialist in female problems. And the female problems was code for abortion. And that was all he ever was an abortionist.
It's interesting, too, because the book ends up taking the form of, is a structure to it that is interesting because while it is his life story is contained inside of the book focuses on one critical moment in time, one that actually has been looked at, but never through the filter of him. And you brought up the idea of him going from place to place. As children, we learn language very, very early. The pattern of who we are gets set there. And that's the thing about him, too, is that he becomes a master of becoming, that he is able to kind of become whoever he needs to be for the people that he is kind of engaged with. The other thing about the book that I found fascinating was that it reminds us, like the show Mad Men does, that the past is literally a science fiction world. That the idea that you could simply pick up a fraudulent shingle, move it over to another state, and have it become a legitimate one. Because that's the other thing, too. We can't conceive of a country that he exists in anymore, because the idea that once he gets that Texas medical license, he's got it. He's a doctor. I mean, he's not really. We understand what you're saying. But it locks him in, and it allows him, because as Lindsay said about the inability to check stuff, national data banks, all of that kind of stuff doesn't exist. People still trust their hometown doctor and all that. And he parlays that. The problem is that the more places he goes, the more people he's running from, which means the ability to cover himself up and reinvent himself one more time. The stakes get bigger each time. And this is maybe the biggest moment of how he actually reinvents himself. He does it on the souls of 42 people in an airplane, correct?
Yeah, it's a tragic end. In many ways, Dr. Spears, if this was a movie, first of all, it would be,
and it should
very
be
much. Thank you. Tell that to Netflix, who's looking at
the
treatment right now.
I will.
I should point out that the other reason he went to Texas, and I'll get back to your question in a second, but was because this was the 40s and the 50s was the oil boom in Texas, immense wealth there, and there were a lot of secretaries that were getting pregnant during that time. And he actually moved there knowing that market was both plentiful and profitable. And he charged $5,000 per abortion in the 1950s.
Wow.
$50,000 today. And as a result, he became very wealthy very quickly. I had a beautiful two-story brick home, a southern mansion-type home in the most exclusive neighborhood of Dallas at the time. Had a wife, 2 beautiful children, was in the social circles, through garden parties, all of that, which goes back to your earlier point, that once he's accepted, he is accepted. Not only in the medical community, but he's accepted in the social structure of the 1950s in Texas. And that might have been the most important thing for him, because he is beyond question. He's beyond reproach at that point. And so he makes a very, I don't know if unusual move, I'd say a greedy move. He decides that he wants to go into partnership. So he's doing very, very well as is. Books up to 7 to 8 abortions per day during this time. So you could do the math, but you can also morally and socially just realize what's going on in America at that time. At a time when this issue has resurfaced, obviously, we see that need never goes away, or that demand, I guess. So he makes a decision to move to Los Angeles, to Hollywood, to one of the enclaves in Hollywood, and goes into partnership with another man who does exactly what he does, except this other individual, whose name was Loomis. And Loomis is on staff. He's an employee of MGM Studios, and he is the official abortionist for MGM.
Good
and
Lord,
during
that's a
his
title.
career, it was not his title, actually. Actually, oddly enough, his title was The Flesh Sculptor.
Wow.
And he was a title I don't think you want on your business card either, by the way.
No.
But what he was is he was the guru of fitness in the 30s, 40s, and 50s, when MGM would take starlets, ingenues, and they needed them to have perfect busts and waists and long legs. They needed to walk correctly. They needed to be athletic. The men needed to learn how to play tennis. They needed to be tanned. They needed to be fit. They would put these couples together, ingenues and the young stars, and have them parade down red carpets and be photographed at Ciro's and all of that to promote MGM. often gay men, by the way. And they were producing this perfect group of young men and women. And again, some irony in that, because this is the late 30s and early 40s, which is exactly what was happening in Germany at that time. So MGM is really kind of creating this perfect picture of humanity. What did not fit into that picture was pregnancy. Either pregnancy that was a single woman, or for a large part, pregnancy of a married woman. And so they had someone that took care of that. And I came across this. First of all, I was doing research for over a year on a particular actress, a golden era actress that I'm doing a piece on. And I noticed, I read over 10,000 movie magazines for that particular project. 10,000. I mean, there was just a proliferation of movie magazines. But during this time, all the magazines kept referring to an epidemic of appendectomies that was happening during the time.
Wow.
And of course, appendectomies were abortions. And this one man, Loomis, did these and then went into partnership with Dr. Spears with the idea that Loomis could bring the celebrities and he could bring the wealthy oil men. And
Jerry,
so they set up shop in Los Angeles.
It's almost like when you say Dr. Spears, I have to giggle, because even using that word, the word doctor in front of him is a joke, right? I mean, a bit. And I'm curious if to you, Jerry, his choice to be a naturopath, and then as well as what he was doing, it's like his desire to play God, or to gain trust without the rules and the checks of traditional medicine. So is that the definition to you, Jerry, of psychopath? And is that what drew you to this story? Because I'm curious at what point you realized, and then we want to shift because we want to talk about of course, the airplane crash here. But
Sure.
At what point did you realize, Jerry, that this was more than an article? This was more than a small featured story, that this actually had legs to be a full book, and now potentially even a movie? What was the hook in that, where you knew that there's a lot more here to unpack?
Yeah, and that's a great question. First of all, I came across the story, knew nothing about the story. Really, nobody knows anything about this story. It completely disappeared. I came across the story. I owned an advertising agency for 40 years, and I was actually doing research for a campaign that we were going to do for a client, and I wanted it to be a retro vintage campaign. And so just to familiarize myself for advertising in the 40s and 50s, I just went on eBay and bought a stack of magazines, Life magazine, Time magazine, Popular Mechanics. I just wanted to see what the typefaces were and the vibe of it was and what the writing was like. And I was looking at a Life magazine, just flipping through the pages, looking at ads, and I turned the page and it says, "Man downs airliner to fake death." And it was just a stunning headline. And that's how I became interested in it. I just started there was nothing on this story. So I really went back through all the newspapers, hundreds, thousands of newspapers, to find anything that could be found on it. It was a huge challenge because of the aliases. It's not like you could, if you search for O.J. Simpson, you get everything on O.J. Simpson. But that's not true. And this was not searching, like Googling. This is looking through newspapers.
36
and
aliases,
all of a sudden,
right?
You would find a guy that did something.
Is it
And I
39?
would cross-reference that with Leavenworth's records or Alcatraz's records and start to pick up, wait, this is the same guy.
Is that?
No idea the breadth of the story.
I mean, at some point, Jerry, you must have had a chart on your wall. You must have just had a giant chart on your wall, all of it leading back to Dr. Spears. Just this almost a spider. It's like a parlor of spiders. I mean, in the sense that he has a sack of eggs that he just unleashes across a web that he simply enmeshes all these people in. I mean, and it goes back to Lindsay's question. This is pure psychopathy, right? I mean, this is beyond sociopathy, because a sociopath to some degree often will have a plan, often has a structure. He's just making this up as he goes along. At each little obstacle, he then just shuffles off and goes someplace else, because you open the book up with a horrifying story about $495 missing dollars that I was like, this is where we begin, which is crazy. I don't want to get into that. Let people read the book, but let's go back to Lindsay's other thing that she was getting at, which of course is the plane crash. How does one down a plane? In
and we're not here to give instructions, by the way.
Yeah.
We're not suggesting this. We do not condone it. This isn't a play-by-play, folks.
That's a nice disclaimer. I have to.
Thank you.
Thank you. We endorse none of this. We love Jerry's book. We don't love the man at the middle of it.
Right.
Go on, Jerry. Please continue.
Well, just the last time we were talking about where he was at, he was in Los Angeles. He performed an abortion there that was horrific. It was on a 22-year-old elementary school teacher who would lose her job if she was pregnant at the time. So she gets an abortion at a seaside motel where Dr. Spears met her and performed an abortion. He used, instead of procedural instruments, he used a chemical. He injected a chemical in her, which turned out to be lye, and it melted her insides. And she was rushed to UCLA Medical Center, and she, the first person of all time of his career, was the first one that ever said his name. Up to that point, no one, in the many botched abortions that he did, no one ever turned him in, primarily because the laws in those days, and this is barbaric to think about, but it was the woman who broke the law. The man doesn't. The man could pay for it. The man could set it up. The man could be behind it all. But if a woman said, I'm bleeding to death and I had an abortion, she will go to prison. So no woman ever came forward on that until this woman did. And when she did, he was promptly arrested by a group known as the Abortion Squad in LAPD that was put together with Commissioner Parker, who set out to wipe out this blight in his city. And he was arrested. As soon as he was arrested, he made bail. And the story of the plane starts with him making bail. And when he does, he makes bail. He calls up his very best friend who's in Tampa, Florida. And by this, I need to say they were very close friends. They were best men in each other's weddings. They'd known each other for 30 years, vacationed together. Their families were together. And he flies to Tampa, says, I've got this great opportunity, business opportunity in Dallas, Texas. How about you drive there? I have tickets. I'll fly back. And we'll meet tomorrow in Texas, and we're going to start this new business. His friend is thrilled at this. His name is Al Taylor. Al Taylor is thrilled at this, and they're meeting at a coffee shop in the Tampa International Airport where the waitresses remembered them clearly because they were laughing and having a good time like good friends do. And Al Taylor says at the last minute, man, my neck is so sore. I was in a car accident a couple of weeks ago. My neck is killing me. And Dr. Spears says, you know what? You take my plane ticket, which you could do in the 1950s. You take my plane ticket, give me your keys, your registration, your license, and your wallet, and I'll drive your car over there, and we'll meet in Texas. The only thing I want to ask you to do is I've got a package here. It's cash, so don't lose it. But as soon as you land, you need to take this to my wife. She needs this cash. She says, no problem. He gets on the plane, and 22 minutes later, it explodes over the Gulf of Mexico. It sinks to the bottom of the Gulf, and it's never been recovered because it's so deep.
Jerry, I'm going to stop you there because the obvious question here is how dumb was this Al? Be like, yes, take my wallet, take everything. God bless him. But he trusted a friend. It goes back to the psychopath thing again, where he, as you've mentioned, they're yucking it up. They're laughing in a restaurant, all the while knowing he's about to perform this heinous act toward one of his best friends. We are talking right now. The story is crazy. We're talking with Jerry Jamison. The book is Vanishing Act, a crashed airliner, faked death, and backroom abortions. You can find it anywhere you get your books. It'll be up on our website as well. This segment of our Sleeper Cab library with our author here and friend Jerry Jamison is brought to you by Shady Rays. You can head on over to shadyrays.com. I'm wearing my aviators. I always do. They're on my head now. I'll be wearing them as I drive away today. They've got lost and broken protection on all their shades. Really killer shades, a pair for everybody, men, women, kids. They've even got snow goggles, prescription, and golf glasses as well. Check them out, shadyrays.com. Jerry, so that's the thing. I mean, it's true. It's going on again. He's yucking it up. He's having a great time, knowing he's about to move on and kill his best friend, basically. So again, we come back to psychopaths. So now you mentioned that Netflix is looking at this. We're gonna pray it gets picked up. Who in their right mind could play such a psychopath in your head that could play Dr. Robert Spears here?
I have thought so much about that, and the challenge of that is that every segment of his life for 40 years is equally fascinating. So I don't know if this is, can you find an actor you can age that much, or do you really need to find 4 actors? I mean, I think that's that'd be the challenge of this book. I mean, most criminals are known for an event, and most certainly Spears is known for, or will be known for, crashing this plane. But really, the chapters of the book that precede it are as mind-bending as all the previous ones. As a con man, your jaw drops at the things he was able to do, effortlessly too, and with tremendous flair. I mean, one of the judges that sentenced him said to him at his sentencing, "Mr. Spears, you are the best bad guy I've ever met." I mean, he was charismatic, he was exciting, and people loved him. He was a model prisoner. I mean, he was just a dynamic human being. And so, he's an incredible personality. I'd love to know who could play him myself.
By the way, he was ever who you needed him to be. There is a very tiny connection between your book and this show. This show is born off the Road Gang, which was WWL 870's overnight show for a long time. The first report we get in the book of the crash happening over the Gulf of Mexico comes on the overnight jazz show on WWL 870 AM, which, by the way, I was reading and it just perked me up. I said, oh my God, there's our old digs, where all of this, the tradition you're on today, got started. Jerry, thank you so much for making the time for us, by the way. It's great to have you. Have any socials you want people to go to check you out?
If they just go to my website, jerryjamison.com. Jamison's Jamison. I've also written 30 novels. So I was really a fiction novel writer before this until I stumbled on the story. And of course, this is stranger than fiction. So
Thank you, Jerry. Best of days, and thank you for being the first guest in the Sleeper Cab Library on Road Gang Radio, continuing the tradition of over a decade. Thank you, Jerry. Best of luck.
Jerry.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
When we come back on the other side, who's going to be in the house, Lou? Who's going to
Make
be
it
here?
rain, make it rain. Rick Rain, that's R-I-K-K. Rick Rain joining us. His song, In My Truck. It's out now. You can also, his new song was just featured on The Chai. Is it called The Chai? The Chi? The Shay? What is it? On Showtime?
My Chi.
It's The Shy.
The Shy.
The
It's
Shy,
Chicago,
thank you.
yeah.
The Shy. His song was featured on The Shy the other night, so we'll be talking about that. We'll be talking about his and my collab coming up. Rick Rain joining us next live from the BET Awards in Los Angeles. Dre, take us away.
Road Gang Radio. Lindsey Lawler, Jimmy Mack, Phone Master Dre. All day.
You know Sap Brothers will beat any competitor's advertised price on tires, so hold on to that fifth wheel, because when you buy 4 Salem S624 EFTs, the perfect line haul trailer tire, mounted at Sap Brothers, your price is an amazing $199.99, originally priced at $299.99, and prices are good through June 30, 2025 while supplies last. Save on 4 or more at Sap Brothers, and nobody's going to beat that price price. Salem Tires, advanced compound technology for maximum mileage and rolling resistance without compromise. When you think tires, think Sapp Brothers.
Freight is moving at Creek Carrier and Schaefer Trucking. We are growing and our customers keep growing with us. If you want to be part of a company that appreciates what you do and rewards you for it, you should check out Creek Carrier Corporation. We're looking for safe drivers that have at least 1 year's experience and take their jobs seriously. Then we reward you with great pay and some real serious benefits. Freight's moving, so check out Creed and Schaefer today. Go to creekcarrier.com and find the right job for you.
Okay, you've heard the horror stories of how folks have lost their life savings when the market tanks. Is there a way to invest and make money without risk? Believe it or not, yes. Since 1995, Americans who cannot afford to lose their investments have used fixed index annuities. You get guaranteed income and protection from market downturns. It's a win-win for you and your future. And to learn more, dial pound 250. Use the keyword Truckers Wealth to get in touch with them today.
The Joshua Chamberlain Society is unlike any other veterans organization. It's truly a family, and I know that firsthand from working with them myself. Their mission is to make wounded veterans and families of deceased veterans feel the support and appreciation of their community for life. Our veterans' injuries are permanent, and so is the JCS support. From monetary assistance like paying utility bills or college funds to helping our heroes find purpose, JCS is a family that surrounds and supports the heroes who have sacrificed so much. Learn more and make your donation at chamberlainsociety.org. That's chamberlainsociety.org.
Oh, yeah. We're back with more Nemo Nation. Well, that was yesterday. We are doing the Road Gang Radio today live on...
New copy, brother.
Yeah, I'll get some new copy. I've been doing good all morning. But on iHeartRadio and streaming on YouTube. Jim, take it away, my brother.
Good morning.
Someone talking?
I'm talking. Can you hear me? You can't hear us?
Can't hear Dre.
Can't hear Dre.
Why can't you hear me?
Can't hear you. Can't hear you, brother. Welcome back.
I'm sure you said something great, though.
Yeah. He just said you were wonderful.
Perfect.
Good to have you here as the New Orleans music fades its way out here. We get rid of it and make our way into the second hour of Road Gang Radio. Lindsey, Lawler, Jimmy Mack. We are in the midst of getting ready to kind of talk to Rick Rain here just in a little bit. Lindsey, you got a chance to meet him at Matt's. I got a chance to meet him at Matt's. Big time energy and a really generous spirit as well too. He made a lot of time for a lot of the truckers over at the booth when we were talking with him. Really generous guy, both with his time and his talent. That was my experience of him. You've gotten to know him a little bit better. Talk to me about Rick a little bit here.
You're totally right. Super nice guy. And what's cool, he is so dedicated to making music. And it's something that I'm going to say this with him before he's on the air. And I don't mean this a bad thing. It's actually something that I've struggled with as an artist, Jim. I think you'll get this. It can come across sort of, okay, I'm going to say like cheesy and try hard when all you care about is your music and your people. Unless you mean it authentically, which he does. But do you know what I'm saying when it's like, all I think about is music, all I think about is the fans and my people. If you don't actually mean that, it comes across very contrived, very, very cheesy. If you actually mean it, it's what it takes to get over the hump to do it all the time. And Rick actually means it. I've seen it now both on stage and in a crowd and then working in studio. And I've seen his love. He actually means it. But do you know what I'm saying when it's like, all I care about is the people and music? It's like, you can tell if that's true or not. Do you know what I'm saying?
I know exactly what you're talking about. And there's actually a connective tissue to trucking here that we should talk about just for a really quick second as we get ready to talk to Rick here in a moment here on Road Gang Radio. Lindsey, Lawler, Jimmy Mack. There are people who talk about how much they love, this is my lifestyle, I've chosen this lifestyle, this is what I do, I'm a radio guy, I'm a trucking guy, I'm a performative guy, I'm this guy, I'm that guy, I'm that gal. And then you notice they don't practice. Then you notice they don't rehearse. Then you notice they really just kind of like to talk about how much they're in it, how committed they are to it. But they always find a reason not to do it. They always find a reason to talk about how much they love their fans, but go racing for the door when the fans actually show up. That's a big tell. But the little tells are always, do they eat, sleep, and breathe it? And you can tell when they do. And the biggest way you can tell with Rick Rain, And I noticed this when I was watching him talk to some of our friends, Walking Eagle, some other people. He would hone in on anybody talking to him, Lindsay. And I know you've had this experience with you. He would literally hone in on them. I mean, just absolutely give him his maximum attention and look them in the eye, and they were the only person there. That's when you know. When you see somebody staring over your shoulder for who's next in line, when you see somebody staring over your shoulder for who's cooler in the room, when you see somebody who isn't warming up, isn't getting their vocals in the right order, isn't showing up early, is bouncing around, bumping around, flibber to gibbet, that's the thing. And Rick Rain is authentic because he lives it, he breathes it, he sleeps it, and man, he cares about the human beings around him. If that's what you're getting at, I am digging what you're putting down.
That's what I'm getting at. And he's a good dude, and I'm excited to make music with him and introduce him. And is Dre still around?
Dre is there.
Can we pull, I don't know if you saw my message, why don't we go into country music news here and
You can
wait?
play
So
that.
I'm going to guess, so Rick was at the BET Awards late last night in Los Angeles. His phone right now is saying, just so everyone knows, can't accept calls. So there's something going on with his phone, but we're going to get him. We're going to try working on him, but I think we pivot. And because I'm very excited to do this installment of country music news today, our very first country and Western music news here on Road Gang Radio. And I think we should dive in, Jimmy. What say you?
Dre?
Well, hey, y'all. Welcome to the Ho-Ho. What did you call me?
That's what I'm talking about.
Welcome to the Ho-Down, because it's time for country and Western news with your Music City mistress, the honky-tonk queen herself, Lindsay Lawler.
That's me.
That's what I'm talking about. Yeah, welcome. We're back.
Hey, girl, hey. So, welcome to your country and Western music news. Because, boys, on this show, we celebrate both kinds.
Oh, both kinds.
On this show, we celebrate all kinds.
All kinds.
And actually, now that's true. Now we really can celebrate all kinds on this show. Say what we do, what we want to do. Say what we want to say. Live how we want to live. Play how we want to play. Eat how we want to eat. Something. The Addams Family. All right, Jimmy Mack. So, the 52nd CMA Fest, formerly known as Fanfare, which I will forever call it. It will always be to me. It's in the books, Jimmy Mack. It was a huge success. It was also a huge nightmare if you happen to live in Nashville like I do. But also thank you, America, for bringing us all of your money. So, the largest festival in all of country music wrapped up Sunday night. Fans from all over the world, Jimmy, braved rain delays. They enjoyed performances for some of the biggest names in country music, and they experienced some surprise moments from all the 50 brand partners during CMA Fest 2025. So, according to the Country Music Association, the 4-day musical, which was presented again by SoFi, it welcomed an estimated 95,000 fans emerged into Nashville, Jimmy Mack, from all 50 states and 33 countries. 95,000 fans dumped in to our little downtown Nashville to kick their boots up and get drunk. More than 100 artists reportedly made their CMA Fest debuts over the weekend, and over 300 performances took place at stages across downtown Nashville. Now, Jimmy, so I played CMA Fest several years, and they have stage. Have you ever been in town for Fanfare / CMA Fest, Jimmy Mack?
I have not. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, we will be broadcasting from there next year. Say it and believe it, and then it is so. So, it is a you-know-what show, however. But there are stages set up. There's the big acts perform Thursday, Friday, Saturday night at the stadium downtown. And then there's a riverfront stage set up, which is kind of like your mid-level acts. But there's stages set up on every street corner all over. Of course, all the bars have music going on. And there's stages, like I played on the Chevy stage one year. And this is funny. You'll love this, Jimmy Mack. One year I played on the Bic stage, like, razors, Bic razors. But when my manager at the time called me, he's like, you'll be playing on the big stage. And I went, the big stage? He said, no, the Bic stage.
Oh.
Wah, wah, wah. The big stage. All right, so some highlights from the 4-day festival, Jimmy Mack. So Jason Aldean closed Thursday night with a surprise duet with Travis Tritt on It's a Great Day to Be Alive. And as soon as our music license goes through, Jimmy Mack, we will play that song. But in the meantime, I got rice cooking in the microwave. Okay.
Day ain't going as good as people think it is, despite the tone of that song. A little bit of. By the way, somebody made a comment on the Dusty Slay interview yesterday. By the way, people were listening to that yesterday over on YouTube. Go on. Sorry.
We love Dusty Slay. He's a friend of the show. He's been on the show. He's a comedian. He lives here over in East Nashville. We will have him back on again. But he says he does a great bit about. He's like, listen, Travis Tritt, if you've got rice cooking in your microwave and that's a great day to you, then well, anyway. All right, I do love me some Travis Tritt. And that's, Jim, one of the really cool things about CMA Fest is that it brings together both the legacy acts come out coupled with current big name headliners, all right beside up and comers and all the dreamers. So that's a really neat thing if you think about it, Jim, like all those three different parts happening all in one area, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I understand. I got it. I mean, I might be dismissive. I mean, it's like literally a convergence. It is like the coming of like everything together in a singularity.
Everything, everywhere, all at once. So then Friday, Rita Wilson, Tom Hanks' wife, she opened the show, and your boy, Jimmy Mack Shabuzi, brought the crowd to its feet with his smash hit, a bar song, Tipsy. Can you sing it?
I cannot.
Okay.
I make no claim to. I'm not going to do it. Not going to. I tried last night. I was actually trying to do it in the car, and I'm like, I still can't do it. I know the words, and I still can't do it. Nope.
I would play it here when our music license comes through. More to come. He also had a really cool duet with Jelly Roll. And then Jelly Roll also returned to stage performing with Brandon Lake. I don't know if you've seen them perform together. Brandon Lake is just a badass. They had a moving rendition of their song, Hard Fought Hallelujah. They also had a big drone display happening above the stadium. And then Deanna Carter set the stage for a breakout band. Deanna Carter, Strawberry Wine. Of course, her. Speaking of legacy acts. She set the stage and introduced the Red Clay Strays and Blake Shelton, who then welcomed Trace Atkins on the stage to perform Honky Tonk Badonka Donk. Just want to say that again. Honky Tonk Badonka Donk. But Jim, the Red Clay Strays, you've heard them live on our show before, and they're at CMA Fest. So what I'm trying to say is if you're a guest on our show, inevitably you'll be performing at CMA Fest. That makes sense, right?
Well, and by the way, it's the best hook we can make. We'll actually include it in the letters we send to everybody. If you want to guarantee yourself a place at CMA Fest, you need to be on Road Gang Radio.
Mm-hmm.
Done. Hashtag RGR. Continue.
Hashtag RJR. Okay, now, Jim, I heard y'all talking with Brad Bentley and Kevin Lindsey this morning about next gen and getting youth involved in trucking, which is a great conversation. So this is cool how Nashville is getting youth involved in country music and the performance in the festival. So local schools were spotlighted during the CMA Fest this year. So Ravenwood High School kicked things off on Thursday with a marching band performance. Then on Friday, the Nashville School of Arts had a student songwriter joining a bunch of professional musicians for a writer's round. Super cool. Saturday, the Percy Priest Elementary Schoolhouse Band helped Wynonna Judd on her Open Up Girls Night Out on her Ascend Amphitheater performance. Really cool. And then Hillsborough High School's ensemble took the Chevy Vibe stage for a performance with Mackenzie Carpenter. And meanwhile, marching bands from several other high schools and magnet schools all got to perform. So that's really cool. That's how I'm sure that this happens a lot. And you've got such cool cultural and arts programs there in New Orleans where the kids get involved and the studios, et cetera. I mean, New Orleans does it better maybe than anybody.
Well, it really does because so much of it is in the street, and this goes back to and by the way, really great connection between Brad and Kevin in my conversation this morning. Excellently done because it's the same kind of thing at play. There, not too far from here, is the New Orleans Center for the Creative Arts, Lindsay. And when you come back here, I'm going to show you there. A good friend of mine actually is the lead faculty for the theater program over there. John McDonough, which is right next door to here, has a wonderful music program as well. And anybody can tell you in the city of New Orleans, in this neighborhood, you'll get to experience. Anybody that comes to visit us will actually see before Mardi Gras, bands will often block off the street so they can practice marching down the street and playing their music together. The really thing I want to know from the art push in over in Nashville with the contributions to CMA and everything else going on there is I am really curious is if I'm always interested not so much in who's going to be a star, but are the kids that are just having a good time, being in a band, being in a choir, doing a dance troupe and all that kind of stuff, are they being told why this is important beyond just, it doesn't have to just be you're a star or you're a nobody. It doesn't just have to be that.
Thank you for saying that.
And,
yeah.
and can we talk about the idea, like Andy Polikoff, who was on the first Nemo Nation? Can we talk about him and Dave, both guys who have vibrant musical lives, who bring a lot of joy to people? Can we have a conversation that you may make a living some other way, or you may make part of your living this way, but it doesn't prevent you from bringing joy to their lives, joy to your own lives, and a deeper, richer appreciation of the culture that is all around you. Sorry, that was my TED Talk, my public service announcement, but you opened the door on that, and I think it's so important if we're going to teach kids about the arts, if we're going to teach kids about anything, that we also have to make it say, this might not be the thing that you do with the rest of your life, but it needs to be a part of the rest of your life.
Well, no, you're totally right. It's a brilliant point, because I think that's I can slam social media all day long, but that's actually the beauty, what social media and being able to have a YouTube channel like Radio Nemo, go follow ours, please. But being able to have those things is what's opened up the door to make it different from, when I was back in high school or whatever, it was, my parents were always supportive, but there weren't as many options. So it was like, that's cool that you have that hobby, but like, what are you getting your degree in? What's the job? What are you going to do? Because there weren't all these avenues. It was like you said, you either get that record deal or you go find yourself a real big boy job. There's no in between. And now or not so many in-betweens that we knew of, but especially in Nashville, you can make a killer living playing on Broadway, because people have Venmo down there. People do not have to tour anymore. People are making thousands of dollars a day just playing on Broadway. You can be a studio musician. You can be a songwriter. You can be a touring musician. You can be in a tribute band and make a really good living. It doesn't even have to be your backup career.
You can do
it's
parties.
A good point.
You can do, and I don't mean parties like, weddings and bar mitzvahs. I mean, you can get a phone call where we've had guests on this show who curate evenings, who do very well for themselves. You remember her. She openly said, look, if you want to give me a call, we can set something up. We can bring people over. We can do all that kind of groovy stuff. It's an amazing thing. It's an amazing thing what you can accomplish. And I want to take us back to trucking one more time, just one more time, and kind of point out to folks that even if we get kids in high school who don't want to go into trucking or don't want to go into music, if they understand both things, they understand the world around them better. And that makes such a difference, because you talk about it all the time, and I know a lot of our listeners dig this as well. You talk about this all the time, the idea that if you know what went into the work that you are seeing, you have a better appreciation for it, and you end up becoming more of a patron and more of an ambassador for the arts or for the trucking industry than you were before you knew how the sausage was made, how the equipment works, and what it takes to actually put something up on a stage or actually truck something down a highway. And that is so crucial.
Good point. It's not just the people on stage, it's everybody that comes together to make it happen, which is a large part of our audience, and as Showtime and so many others know. So good point. There's so many ways. Actually, I said that, I texted that to you earlier. You were talking about how can next gen younger people get into trucking, and you don't have to or get into trucking. It can be the same for entertainment. Make the young people interested in the entertainment side of trucking. There's a whole business there. So it's a great conversation, one that we will be talking about a lot on Road Gang Radio.
Did you mention to me, by the way, in text, as we were talking about, that you want to form a trucking entertainment company?
I sure did.
What does that mean? What does that mean?
I don't know. I don't know yet. Sometimes I just say things to you, and then I tell you to tell me how to make it happen.
Oh, I understand. But is it just, did you just have trucking entertainment company come up as 3 words and put them together and say there's something there, or do you have any of a kernel of an idea?
Anything. I have a kernel of an idea.
A kernel of an idea. Okay. I'll call you.
I have a kernel. I'll let you pop it.
I understand. By the way, I can promote you to Colonel. We can make that happen for you.
Thank you.
I'm sorry. We were talking about country and western music.
We are.
Okay.
All right. Let's keep going. So it's already been announced. The 53rd annual CMA Fest will happen next year, June 4th to June 7th. Tickets go on sale at the end of this month. So, and as I mentioned, Road Gang Radio will be broadcasting live from CMA Fest 2026. Making that announcement here right now, Jimmy Mack.
Get on it, Tara.
Get up on it. All right, this is really fun, Jimmy Mack. George Jones's widow, Nancy Jones, she's made it her life's mission to keep her late husband's memory alive. So last week, Nashville's Ryman Auditorium, they unveiled a statue of legendary George Jones at the entry for their outdoor icon walk, which is really cool. It's a really special place to walk by. Nancy Jones said, I'm just so proud to be here and so happy this is happening because George, I know, is smiling about it up in heaven. The ceremony was attended by about 100 family members, friends, and fans. Nancy took a personal hand in designing the life-size bronze sculpture, along with Mississippi artist Ben Watts guiding its appearance. So it was her decision to depict George Jones this is funny, Jimmy. She decided, of course, that she wanted to depict George in his early 60s, about a decade after the couple wed in 1983. She, of course, chose a version where she was married to him and not someone else. No offense, Tammy Wynette, but Nancy's designing it. She gets to pick the version of him that was married to her. So she selected that area because, as she said, I think that's what he would have wanted. Well, of course, that's what you think, Nancy. Just kidding. All right. So I have done shots, by the way, with Nancy Jones, and we have served moonshine together to her patrons at the George Jones Museum. And let me tell you, she's a very cool chick. So just know that. So the statue sports George Jones's signature onstage style, the perfectly coiffed hair. She says he was so proud of that hairdo. It's got sideburns. He's wearing snakeskin boots, a bedazzled nudie suit. Of course, his big wide smile. He's got a custom guitar strap, which was his favorite. It's slung over one shoulder, and he holds a personalized acoustic guitar. Woo, that was a loud cough. Nope. The artist and Nancy, they also insisted on glasses, another fixture in George's later stage appearances. So the statue is now in the company of likenesses of Charlie Pride, Loretta Lynn, Bill Monroe, Little Jimmy Dickens, all of whom are fixtures on Ryman stage and were as members of the Grand Ole Opry. So Nancy recalled her husband's love for the Ryman, and this is funny, Jim. In her remarks at the unveiling, she acknowledged, of course, his well-known battle with drug and alcohol use. She said the Ryman was the only place she didn't have to worry about him. She said, I wish he could have worked here every single weekend because it was the only place he never got drunk. She said it was like he would say, that's the mother church of country music. You don't drink there. I guess that I need to be arrested because I have drank a lot there.
What is up with that? I mean, is that just like an unwritten rule or something that's going on over there?
No, I think that was just him because plenty of people drink there and get wasted. I think maybe for George, being the drunk that he was, with all due respect, for him it was the one place that he found as a sanctuary. I don't know, Jim. I mean, you've been sober 30 years. I'll ask you that question. Before, was there some place that would have been, back in your drinking days, it was like, that is one place. Was it Mama's Kitchen? There's got to be one place where you're like, that's where I draw the line.
Well, no, and I kind of get where he's coming from there because I will tell you this: when I did drink, I quit sugar every Lent. When I did drink, I quit for 47 days. I wouldn't drink for the entirety of Lent. And
well, then you weren't a real alcoholic, Jimmy Mack.
Oh no, that's real. Actually, that's one of the great proofs of real alcoholism. See, I can quit anytime I want to.
And on day 48, booze it up,
Let me tell you something. So the last day of Lent, you'll love this, Lindsay. The last day of Lent is Good Friday. People think it's Easter Sunday. It's not. It's Good Friday. My friend Todd and I, he would do it too. He wasn't an alcoholic, but he would quit with me for the 47 days. And we would call Friday afternoon the Long Good Friday. And let me tell you something. We should have called it the Brawl to Drink It All. Because, man, by the time I got to Tuesday and Wednesday of that week, it's like, come on. Yeah, he is risen and so am I. And it was bad, dude. It was bad. It's exactly how alcoholics think. If I just go here and don't drink at this sacred place,
then I can get rip-roaring drunk later.
Every place else, exactly. I think that's what he probably was thinking at the time. This is a sacred place, and this proves I don't have a problem, and I can quit anytime I want to.
So you're saying the Ryman was George Jones's Lent.
Yeah, exactly.
Got it. All right.
Sacred space.
Sacred space. So Jamie Johnson was actually there, and he did a tribute. He said he made light of George's substance-fueled exploits, of course. He included the infamous trip that George Jones took to a liquor store on his Ryder lawnmower after his car keys had been taken away. So I don't know if you know the story, Jimmy, but George Jones' car keys were taken away. Still got to make it to the liquor store, so he took his lawnmower, and that's where he got his DUI. Probably not
He
his
got
first.
that's right. He got a DUI.
Got a DUI and a lawnmower,
On a
which
lawnmower.
which then lived in, which they had on display at the George Jones Museum. The lawnmower.
Did he ever get another DUI?
I don't know. It's a good story.
The only DUI I ever got was from driving a lawnmower. I love that, by the way.
Kind of badass,
I
and
kinda
yet
like that.
really silly.
I got something real quick.
Yeah.
You know you can't get a DUI on a horse?
You can't.
You can't get a DUI.
But you could. I wonder if you could get like a animal cruelty.
You get
'Cause if you're
Yeah, you could probably get public intoxication too. I
Yeah,
mean, there's
for
all kinds
sure.
of they could get you for, but DUIs have a great deal more force than a public intoxication. That looks kind of funny on your rap sheet. People are like, yeah, you got it. What's going on, Dre?
My uncle would pretty much get so drunk that he couldn't ride the horse back, so the horse knew where to go. Yeah, he would just take him on home.
Oh, so basically it was an early version of automated of a Tesla. Yeah, go on, continue, Lindsay, please.
Well, he did get sober after a near fatal car accident in 1999, and he then did continue to perform for the next 14 years before passing at the age of 81 after his final stage appearance in 2013. So Nancy Jones did confess that for years after George Jones's death, she couldn't bring herself to listen to her husband's music. But now she said, I listen and I'm like, golly, he's good. And now I can't stop listening. We can't either. Nancy did reveal that she's in the process of working to reopen the George Jones Museum, which closed in downtown Nashville in 2021 in the wake of COVID. And of course, the downtown bombing on Christmas Day, which was such a nightmare. So that will be up and running soon. Maybe we could do a broadcast from the George Jones Museum with Nancy when that opens, actually, Jimmy. That would be really fun.
That would be fun. Maybe we should start making a list, by the way. And also, if you head on over to YouTube, guys, in the comment section, if there's a place you'd like us to do a broadcast from, please take the time to write it down. We got a few people still listening over there. We'd love to have you guys make those comments and jump inside the chat. Thank you very much. We'd love to know where we should broadcast from. Go on.
All right, so final story here in our country and western music news. Post Malone, old Posty, he's taken over Nashville. Jim, who doesn't have a bar in Nashville? Good Lord almighty. But it makes me happy. I do love Post Malone. So this week it was announced that there are plans to open a Nashville entertainment venue, because we need more of those, on Lower Broadway with Post Malone, whose real name is Austin Post, by the way. So they've created a space, he says, where everyone can come together and kick some ass. His words, not mine. Nashville has really become a second home for me, so I can't wait to invite y'all over to my house. Welcome to my house, says Post Malone. By the way, he's only 29. And no disrespect, but that's a rough 29. Okay, I still love him. The venue will be, Jim, get this, 26,000 square feet. It will feature 6 bars, 3 stages, and a full-service dining room, and of course, a rooftop, because you can't have a venue without a rooftop downtown. The venue will be located at 305 Broadway, about Broadway and 3rd. It's currently under construction, but once it does open, Jim, they're having to deal with historical architecture, which is a nightmare. But once finished, it will be Broadway's largest floor footprint, larger than you know whose. I listened. The other thing I listened to on the road, besides y'all's show yesterday, was Post Malone's record, From Pillar to Post, his newest album called F1 Trillion. It's so good. He released it last August, and it has his song I Had Some Help, which features that guy. I had some help. Unfortunately, I love that song. I hate to admit it. But this tells you all you need to know about Post Malone, Jimmy Mack. It has duets with Blake Shelton, Luke Combs, Dolly Parton, Lainey Wilson, Hank Williams Jr., Chris Stapleton, Brad Paisley, Tim McGraw, Jelly Roll, Ernest, Billy String, Sierra Farrell, and the list goes on. Jimmy, that speaks volumes to how Nashville and country music has embraced Post Malone, does it not?
It does, my dear, and we're going to have to wrap up country and western music news because we are almost out of time. It kills me.
I know. So to wrap up country and music news on this day in 1979 was born our friend Lee Brice, good friend, good dude. He's a country singer. Of course, his number one single, A Woman Like You, which was written by our friend Johnny Bulford, who will be joining us as well. So happy birthday to Lee Brice, and also happy anniversary to our friend Winona Judge. She married Cactus Mosier on this day back in 2012, and they live out in Leapers Fork, just down the road from me. So happy birthday, Lee. Happy anniversary, Winona. That's your country and western music news here on Road Gang Radio.
Dre.
Yo.
Hey. By the way, I've been to Cactus and Winona's house.
Me too.
Really enjoyed the time I spent with them, especially the cobbler. Winona made that. We'll be right back on the other side of this. Hang around. We got about a half an hour more to go. Rumbling, bumbling, stumbling. Touchdown, Lindsey Lawler.
Check out the new over-the-top lineup at participating Country Pride and Iron Skillet restaurants. 3 gigantic sandwiches loaded with flavor. Try the chicken parm stack, the big country combo, or the ultimate smash melt. The ultimate smash melt. 2 delicious smash burger patties, surrounded by 2 grilled cheese sandwiches. 2 sandwiches in 1. Visit your favorite Country Pride or Iron Skillet restaurant and come hungry.
Available for dine-in only at participating Country Pride and Orange Skillet restaurants inside TA or Petro Travel Centers.
Live hard, drive hard. Shady Rays has got you. If you want a pair of sunglasses that keeps up with your adventure on the road, Shady Rays has got you. If you want to keep your eyes on the journey ahead with a price point right for your lifestyle, Shady Rays has got you. Premium polarized sunglasses with a lost and broken protection program and 30-day risk-free returns and exchanges. Drop in that code Radio Nemo at shadyrays.com and get a 35% discount and make sure you can see where the action is. They got you at shadyrays.com.
I'm a long-haul trucker. I don't have time for nonsense. So when I fuel up, I need to get in and get going with a fuel card that takes me there. Founded in 1978 by a trucker for truckers, Multi-Service Fuel Card is run by real, honest people who are there to help us road warriors keep our freight moving. And with nationwide acceptance, fuel discounts, and dedicated customer service, no matter where I'm going with Multi-Service Fuel Card, I never roll alone. Learn more at neverrollalone.com.
Wait a minute. Are you running all of your rig's accessories?
All of them. You like that?
No, why would I? Your engine's turned off.
That means I ain't violating no idling laws. You like that?
No, why would I? That means you're running off your battery.
I'm running on an Odyssey battery. You like that?
No, why wait. Did you say an Odyssey battery?
Odyssey battery. Rugged, maintenance-free, thin plate pure lead technology, and massive deep cycling capability. Plenty of reserve power to run onboard accessories. Engine on or off. Twice the power, 3 times the life of conventional batteries. That's an Odyssey battery. You like that?
No, I don't like that. I love that. Wait a minute. The crickets stopped.
Odyssey hasn't.
Get yourself an Odyssey battery. Performance you can count on.
Well, it's that time because we're back with more Road Gang Radio live on RadioNemo.com, iHeartRadio, and streaming on YouTube. Jimmy, Lindsay, take it away.
Let me deal with some bureaucracy first. Here, as Dre said, it's the FASTPORT Studios. FASTPORT solves America's toughest recruiting and workforce challenges through research, technology, and people. From registered apprentices to veteran readiness, you can learn more at fastport.com or nationalapprenticeship.org. Big thanks to Brad Bentley for getting here at 10 minutes to 7 this morning to do the show. We actually brought the donuts. If you ever let us know that you're coming, we will actually have the donuts. You have to actually bring the coffee. The donut place, I know where it is. And by the way, Lindsay, we actually got a chance to have buttermilk cake drops, raspberry-filled donuts with powdered sugar on top of them, and Dre got himself a couple of sprinkles as well. We also want to make sure we give a big old shout-out to our friends at ShadyRays.com. Lost and broken replacement plans, free returns and exchanges, personal and fast support. They've got your back at ShadyRays.com. This is the final half hour of the first edition of hashtag RGR. It stands for Roger. It stands for Road Gang Radio. It also stands for a little bit of resistance. You can also drop in and give us a call at 615-292-6366.
That's 615-292-NEMO. Speaking of Nemo.
Hey ho, it's Nemo. What's going on?
I'm just happy to be here again. We are made it to day 2, which is a real, day 1 is one thing. Somehow or another, things can just balance on their own, and then as soon as you turn off the lights, it's like, boom, it explodes. Day 2, I think, is the real test.
Well, and Lindsay, a friend of mine once said that the second night of any performance, they always talk about the idea of the second night letdown. He made a great comment. He goes, it's not a letdown at all. He said, the second night of any performance is opening night without terror motivating you. Which
fair. And the decision that you actually came back, because first night could be so bad or scare you so bad that you don't come back for day 2. We came back, so that's good news.
Yeah, it literally is. It's literally, I say that every time we do this show live, every time we move forward and keep this thing on the rails, we are one more step ahead of the sheriff and making our way a little bit further down the road. Rick's phone is not working. Why am I not surprised, given the night that he must have had over the BETs?
Well, and what's weird is, like, he is committed to an interview. He's been so excited. I was on the phone with him last night from the BET Awards talking about this interview today. So something happened. His phone says that it's not. Something happened to the phone. It might be at the bottom of P. Diddy's pool. I don't know. Maybe they broke in. I don't know, guys. One never knows. So we'll see. We'll get Rick back and talk about it as well. But I do want to mention, because I mentioned the BET Awards, and I just wanted to tell you, but I don't know if either. I randomly, by chance, I was scrolling through. My husband and daughter had fallen asleep on the couch, so I had a moment to choose what I picked with the remote. But I scrolled through and saw the BET Awards were on. I don't know if I've ever watched the BET Awards, but I happened to click on it, and then I said, I wonder if Rick's there. And I texted him, like, are you at the BET Awards? And he said yes. And I was like, of course you are. So I found it very divine that I happened to be watching the BET Awards while he was there. But I just want to bring this up because I love this, Dave and Jim. Dre, no, not Dre, not Dr. Dre,
Yes.
not Phone Master Dre. But Dr. Dre presented Snoop Dogg with the Icon Award. And Snoop, a couple things that he said, I just loved so much. I'm trying to find it. Where did it go? He was talking about, so he brings up his wife, and the entire audience cheers for Snoop's wife. But he says, that's why she's here on stage with me. I have God and I have a queen. And if you're lucky enough to have someone special in your life, put them on the front page. I know you guys do that for both Claire and Cheryl. You're significant, lovely ladies. You're queens in your life. And, he said, into my life coach, Uncle Charlie Wilson, who also performed with him, he said, thank you for getting my wife back and getting me my life back. He said, my biggest inspiration, my 10 grandbabies. And then how cool is this? Again, talking about the youth. And this goes back to, again, getting youth involved in trucking, getting youth involved in entertainment, whatever it is. He said he gave a shout out to the Snoopy Football League, Snoop FU. He said that they have 49 kids that made it into the NFL. Think about that.
Wow.
It's remarkable.
That is a stunner, and that is making a difference in a lot of people's lives. I don't know if you saw there was a story in the NFL recently, and we're going to get Pond Skipper on the phone because Pond Skipper is here. But I want to really quickly say there was a guy that ran across the field when Jason Whitworth retired from the Rams, ran across the field, rookie player, and he said, I wanted to tell you what. He said, you spoke to me when I was in high school in the NFL Plays program and told us all we could make it. And I wanted to tell you, Jason, I made it. And you made the biggest impact on me.
Oh, wow.
And Whitworth was like, he said, I didn't even know how to respond to that. And he said, I don't mean that like, what are you talking about, kid? Get the hell out of my face. It was like, wow, you can make such a difference in a young person's life. And that's one of the things we're going to be talking about here on Road Gang Radio on a regular basis. We're also talking to you. Lindsay, one of your favorite voices on our callers, is actually here. Pond Skipper's on the scene. Good morning to you, man.
Good morning, Lindsay. Morning, Jimmy Mac, and morning, Dre.
You found us, Pond Skipper. I know when we were leaving that last platform, those guys that you were like, I don't know how I'm going to figure it out. And here you are. You figured it out. So welcome.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I'm not on YouTube, but I found you on Facebook Live. So glad to find you. I really missed you on the weekend. I can't tell you how much it was. I don't know the word really, but it was just a routine on the weekends, and the last 2 weekends I said, what am I going to do?
I understand. Well, welcome over here. Like I said, that's one of the best parts about what we're going to be doing. Once we get this thing up and running, and man, we are really cooking over here. Don't ever forget, you can find us on your favorite app, and you can save it, and you can pop it in, and you can listen. You can listen to us on the weekends if you choose to. You can queue it up. You can find some place. You can listen to it when you want to listen to it, where you want to listen to it, which is so much about what we're doing here. When are we going to go? Where are we going to go? And what are we going to listen to when we get there? Oh, my God, Lindsay, I didn't even realize that. That's the connective tissue between the topic of the show, the overall topic of the show, and the reality of what it is we do over here. You probably knew that, though. Hey, Pond Skipper, how are you?
Yeah, I'm great, thanks. This is the first morning listening to you. I didn't do anything yesterday. So, glad to hear you again, and hope everything's going well with the new format. And I could see there's a lot of places I can listen, but like I say, at the moment, it's just Facebook.
That's okay. That's okay.
That's okay. Are you working right now? Are you pulled over? Are you at home? Where are you right now?
I'm driving at the moment, but I'm 3 hours from home. And
Okay.
then I'll have a couple of days off, and I leave Friday again.
So you're saying you're driving, or you're rolling down the road and listening on Facebook Live, that you're able to pull that up and listen while you're rolling?
Yeah, I've got the headset on, so everything's legal the way I'm doing it.
Oh, yeah. No, I wasn't calling you out there. I've just been showing people another way you can listen. And you can also, the iHeartRadio app, you can listen just like you would have listened on Sirius as an app. Some people don't have Sirius in their truck. There's an app. There's an app for that. So iHeartRadio is a free app that you can connect to your Bluetooth as well. Of course, the YouTube, and like and subscribe. So we're glad you're here, Pond Skipper. And what would be, so we're going to ask you this. These are the 3 questions that are going to be the anchors of this show, Pond Skipper. So when it's your time off, if you had 2 days off, and you do sometimes, on your next 2 days off, where would you like to go? How are you going to get there? And what are you listening to along the way?
Where I'd like to go back to Wales and see family, listen on the way.
Our show.
Yeah, your show, obviously.
Yeah. Shameless plug. No apologies.
If you don't have an answer, the answer is our show.
Yeah, your show. But I don't know if this is a compliment. I'm going to say it as a compliment. I got your CD, and I got quite a few CDs in here, but yours is the only CD I don't have to skip a tune. I can listen to it all the way through.
Yeah,
that's
a serious compliment. Yeah, we're all
I was like, "Where's he go?" I don't know if this is a compliment, but I got your CD, and I didn't kill myself while listening to it. Thanks.
I don't skip songs 3 through 9. Wait, what do you listen to actually? Oh, the first 2, and then
I got your CD, and it didn't suck. That's the best compliment I've ever gotten.
By the way, that's an amazing compliment. I got to tell you, I listened to your show the other day. What? It didn't suck. I kind of go, all right, we have some room to grow, but I like the way things are headed.
What the compliment is, Pond Skipper, is that you bought the CD. You didn't download one song. What he's saying is that he bought the whole work of art. So I appreciate it very much. And I would love, as you figure out, to hear if you have a favorite song on there. You don't have to tell me now, but when you do figure it out, I'd love to hear.
Yeah, Light My Fire. I don't know what the song
All
is
Along. All Along. That's the one romantic song I've ever written in my entire damn life.
Oh, your voice on that is unbelievable, Lindsay. On the weekends when you're not on, I was putting that on, and I had a tear in my eye.
Aww.
So I love that song. It's that's on repeat. I repeat it about 4 or 5 times, and then I listen to the rest of the CD, and then I'll go back to that one, and I'll repeat that again.
Thank you, brother.
Your voice, your clarity in the words, you can light my fire anytime.
So you light the fire, and I'll sing the songs.
Hey, by the way, you don't skip a single song. You have one song that you play on repeat, and the song brings a tear to your eye. I don't think you got 1 compliment, Lindsay. I think you got 3.
I'll take them.
Lou for the win. Lou for the win. Pond Skipper, it is great to hear from you, my friend. Thanks for finding us. Spread the word. Don't be shy. Let people know that RGR is now sky high. Out you go. Love you.
Yeah, well, hey, thank you so much.
Thanks, buddy.
615-292-6366.
That's 615-292-NEMO. Speaking of Nemo, is Nemo still with us?
Nemo is alive and well and living in France. Actually, he's living in New Orleans.
Nemo in the house. Hey, Dave Nemo.
Speaking of France, back in the snail mail days, we would get letters, and every once in a while I would get, well, I don't mean escargot, although we did have escargot. The only time I ever ate escargot was at the Mid-America Trucking Show.
Ew.
Yeah, that's good. It's really good. But I used to get
out of the back of a
letters
truck, by the way.
because we were in New Orleans then, and we're back in New Orleans now. I used to get letters sometimes to Dave, D-A-V-E, Nemo, Nemeaux.
Oh, see.
Oh, yeah, that's what I'm talking
What's
about
his-
right there. Nemo, that's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about little Dave Nemo. I'm talking about people giving us phone calls.
What if Nemo Nation was spelled that way? It might be something to consider, guys.
Well, there's a band here in New Orleans. They're not together anymore, but the name was 504, and area code 615 up in Nashville back in the 80s, I think, had some songs out. They were really good. There was some studio musicians that did a thing, but their band, their logo was on one of the old French Quarter street signs, and it was the numeral 5. And then EAUX and the numeral 4 on the sign. It was pretty cool.
By the way, Lindsey, really quickly, one of my favorite uses of 504 when Drew Brees threw his 540th touchdown pass to actually break Peyton Manning's record. The guy who actually called the game went 540 and the 504, and you're like, man, you've been sitting on that for the entire game waiting to unleash that particular piece of nonsense.
Yeah.
What you got, Dre?
Man, you know what my favorite way of 504?
What's that?
It's the new Top Golf y'all have over here.
Yeah.
It's literally
man.
Right on the
504,
interstate, man.
Lindsey.
Right on
Oh,
the
I
interstate.
see.
Yeah.
F-O-R-E. That's smart.
My
I see what you
favorite,
did there.
my favorite was after Katrina. By the way, when people started talking about could we go back? Could we go back? Because there was talk about them shutting the whole enchilada down, and people started saying 5-0 forever.
Oh,
Love that one.
That's a good
Love
one.
that one.
I love smart plays on words like that.
I like that too.
I wanted to address Pond Skipper's topic this morning about connectivity, finding us here, listening to us there. Can you listen to us later? I just answered somebody on Shannon. I just answered a message from Shannon. The hours don't fit up with Shannon's, so can she listen at different times? And I told her, yeah, you can do it on radionemo.com or YouTube/@radionemo, all of that. But you got to remember, and again, history does repeat itself. We live a circular existence. The entire universe is a circular existence, never-ending circle, right? Hopefully. And that's what the song Will the Circle Be Unbroken was about, but that's a whole nother story. We'll get into that maybe sometime, Lindsey, about some of the Appalachian folk music that comes from the British Isles that we still sing today. But
I think we just got into it.
In a matter of speaking. Yeah. But what I was getting at is that, so Charlie Douglas and Jim, you just mentioned during the jazz, the thing about Spear. The news broke here on WWL
870
before the Road Gang came into being. But at that time, in the Road Gang slot, the after midnight slot, it was big band jazz. It was a great program coming from a great music city that fit the bill. I mean, hand in glove. Jazz, New Orleans, and the big radio station, perfect. But there was no target out there. They were wasting the potential of what the radio station was capable of. You could listen to us in Canada and from coast to coast, pretty much in the open areas, not in the cities. So Charlie Douglas comes along and tells these guys who owned the station, it was Loyola University, hey, you got all these people out there on the road, and they are the only people on the road, and all they got to do is drive and listen to the radio, so why don't you give them something to listen to? And they did, and that's where we are right now, and that's why you've brought the name of the Road Gang back, because we are reestablishing the connectivity that we started back in the early 70s.
The difference is, and I'm not contradicting you at all, what's really cool about this, Lindsey, is the fact that the gang in the old days had to be there when the meeting was called. Now, because of the newfangled technology, the gang can muster anytime it wants to, depending upon what app it goes to, what location it heads to. I have to tell you both this. I literally got a Facebook message from a guy saying, look, I won't lie to you, man. I have to give my brother Tim and my friend KC props, and I got to spend the mornings with them. He said, but I really do listen to you guys between 3 and 6 in the center. When I leave the other platform. And I went, that's a perfect time to listen to us. That's a perfect time. We would love you to listen to us between 3 and 6 in the afternoon on a regular basis. We'd love you to listen to us on the weekends as well. Dre
You're
just
so
got
dumb.
it. Dre
I got it. I'm just rolling my eyes at you.
No, it hit Dre. He's like, oh.
You can listen to us anytime is the point, and especially when you're in your, whatever you're doing on your time off. So I want Jimmy's answered. I need to know Dre and Dave's answer. So over on YouTube, the lovely Gina Harrison comment as to the questions: where are you going? How you getting there? What are you listening to? She's going on a camping trip. How she's getting there? It doesn't have to be the vehicle. She said Highway 1. So that's how she's getting there. She went literal with that. And she's listening to Don Henley. So that makes sense. That makes sense. Nice. Hey, Dre, if you could go anywhere this weekend, you and your girl Chelsea, where are you going? How are you getting there? What are you listening to?
Oh, man, I'll be honest with you. Going back and forth. Oh, wait, there's some things playing on the other side.
That's Dave not checking his
I'm sorry.
I'll have to turn the sound off that thing.
That's all right.
I don't know how to turn the sound off on this computer yet.
Dre, where are you going?
Where are you going?
Well, we got the girls this weekend, so I'm probably going to have to play a few soundtracks from different movies. But in all honesty, I think on Sunday, I'm going to take her on a little trail walk over there in Red Bluff, and I'm going to put on the new Turnstile album.
I love Red Bluff.
Yeah,
Lindsay,
man.
by the way, Red Bluff is this place in Mississippi. It's one of the few places that actually has any height to it.
Mm-hmm.
And, well, it's actually got depth to it. So it goes down, but it's like this little, it's almost like it's a Small World After All version of the Grand Canyon. Go ahead.
You know exactly what it is, Lindsay?
No.
An eroded highway. It's basically like you look over there and you're like, oh, that used to be a road. And then you look down and you're like, oh, man, this is as close as you're going to get the Grand Canyon in Mississippi. But, man.
It was a road, and now it's eroded.
Yeah.
That's exactly it. And by the way, as a Boy Scout, we camped out at Red Bluff. I fell down Red Bluff.
Oh, okay.
I actually fell down, took a real serious tumble down Red Bluff.
How hard did you hit your head? It explains a few things.
I hit my knee really hard. My head, I don't remember anything about it, actually, to be honest with you. Go ahead, Dre.
Oh, it's just red clay. You'll be all right. Well, listen, Turnstile. Have you ever heard of that band there? You're not Chelsea.
Oh,
you're
yes.
Lindsay.
Saw them on one of the late night shows
Jimmy
the other
Kimmel
night.
brought them on. And let me tell you something.
They were very
cool.
I liked them.
You listen to their deep cuts, but going into their newest album, Lindsay, let's just say you go from headbanging punk rock to all of a sudden you're just shaking your butt just a tad bit. I'm not going to say the other words I was telling people I was doing.
I love headbanging and shaking my butt at the same time.
Yeah, you have one song on the way over here. I got my blood flowing. I was headbanging, and all of a sudden I just started shaking like a salt shaker, and it goes from being hardcore to the little rap hip hop at the end of a 6-minute song.
I love it.
Yeah, it's a good mix, but that's
I
my
love
jam.
it. Okay, that's good.
That's the energy he walked in with this morning, Lindsay. I'm not kidding. The door
Throwing
opened
that
up,
butt
and
in a circle.
he put his hands on the table and he started shimmying that shaker.
I love a twerk to get Road Gang Radio going. Dave, I'm going to ask you the same question. Then we have Mark and Chappie are both on the line, so we're going to have to ask them, where are you going? How are you getting there? What are you listening to? Dave, this weekend, and hypothetically, where are you going? How are you getting there? What you listening to?
20 seconds.
Oh, I think I would go to the art museum and listen to the band that's going to be playing there.
Ooh,
nice.
What type of music?
Jazz, but with a harp and percussion and a guitar.
Oh,
yeah.
There's a guy named FKJ. He's a French DJ, but he plays like 10 instruments, and he does this thing in France where he goes, and it's pretty much like a silent DJ, but everybody's sitting there, and they're in the museum. No one can hear it out, but all his stuff is playing through it, and it's beautiful. He plays like a harp and all that different stuff, too.
We got to go to the phone lines, by the way. We're going to drop Chappie in the conversation, or is it vice versa?
Nah, let's do Mark first. That man didn't get the call in yesterday. What's up, buddy?
What's up, Mark in the house?
Morning, Dre. Morning, Jimmy. Morning, Lindsay.
You made it.
Dave.
He followed us.
Hey.
You made it.
Hey, Mark.
Made it in today. I've been listening through YouTube today since I'm at home doing absolutely nothing.
Good.
Oh, that's nice. Well, we're here doing absolutely nothing. See, that's
Yeah,
it's
same.
activity, man.
Staring at each other.
Welcome to Seinfeld.
It's
a
all-
show about nothing.
It's all working out. It's all working out, man.
Trademark.
Mark, so
Yeah,
Lindsay had 3 questions. You got to answer them. You got 20 seconds to answer them. Go.
Where you going? How you getting there? What you listening to, hypothetically?
Fire.
NOLA, Road Gang, or I'll probably listen to Channel 301 from Sirius XM. Sorry about the shameless plug there. But,
we're on delay, right? We can bleep that out, right?
We can get rid of that.
Yeah,
exactly.
Bleep that out.
I don't listen to that afternoon slide either. That took me a little while to get to.
Go on, please. Continue.
And what am I doing when I get there? I'll have to try to make sure it's a time when you guys are down there and you guys can show me around.
Mm-hmm. Ask Dave. He's the man. And Jimmy.
Everybody make that plan. Everybody make that plan for July 23rd. It's going to be the first showing of We Should Write.
Right.
We're going to have a big party that evening. Jedi Mind Trick's going to play. Lindsay, I'm gonna force Lindsay onto the stage. Maybe she'll bring a few friends down. Who knows?
Yeah.
Andy Polikoff said he's going to come down here, Lindsay, and play. He's going to come down here and play.
Yeah.
He's actually going to come down here and play. Everybody's going to be rocking. Everybody's going to be grooving. We're heading down to the Love Shack, baby, and we begin where we ended with the love button. Mark, we got to get to Chappie to wrap this show up, but brother, thank
Love
you.
you, brother.
Glad you got in, man.
Catch y'all tomorrow. Have a great one, everyone.
Okay, Mark.
Bye.
Let's get a Chappie in the house.
Chappie
in the house.
Chappalicious.
All right.
Are you hurt?
You all right?
Are we disturbing you?
Did you pull something?
You called us.
It was different.
You shouldn't have went to the bathroom during it.
You missed Highway
Well,
to
hey,
Health.
guys, I just wanted to say hello on your new format. I mean, I've been catching you on Facebook. I just got you programmed into my iHeart radio app. That's probably where I'll listen to you mostly because it's just a separate app that's easier. And I don't have to worry about it.
Everybody will find their niche, so to speak. There's so many choices.
Yeah. But it's great to hear you guys. You know, when you guys made the announcement, you know how you have friends over the years that just somehow or another become more like family?
Sure.
And you get this knot in your stomach when you think you're not going to get to talk to them anymore.
Yes.
You guys made that announcement, and that was the first reaction I had. But hearing you here and it's like coming home.
Yay!
Oh, wow.
Amen.
Yeah.
Save that.
The home of your choice that you don't have to pay for. Listen, I'm going to say this right now, okay? And this is the way I've always felt, and this is one of the reasons why we're here. It's not the reason, but one of the reasons, Chappie, and then I'm going to turn back to you. But, okay, the whole idea of paying to hear music, like I have Spotify. I love it. I think I have something called Rock My Run. I think it's a lifesaver. I'll tell you about that sometime. So if you don't have commercials, that's fine. You pay. But if you have commercials, those commercials are supposed to pay so you don't have to. And that was something that always bugged me about our last platform. They got their reasons. Money is the reason we're not there either.
Dave telling it like it is, Lindsay. Dave telling it like it is.
He's right, though. To pay and still have commercials.
Yeah.
It's a little bit
like
BS. And the S
double-dipping.
stands for serious.
Double dipping.
And to make a lot of money off of us and to not, okay, we're not going to get into
No, we're not going there. We're not doing that.
Where we are right now is where we've always, where we need to be right now, because that's where you guys are now. We have followed you to the streaming world, Chappie. So go ahead. Yeah. I'm gonna stop talking.
No, it's great. I mean, now that I have speakers in my helmet, when I'm on my motorcycle, I can listen to you guys while I'm riding the Harley now too. So
that's exactly where you should be.
You do have strange voices in your head when you ride your bike.
Dre, would you drop Chrome Badger in here real quick? Just drop him in so we can get out of here. The show's going to end. We're going to get him on right now because I want him to say forget about it so we can forget about this show and get to the next one. Get him on. We're out of time. Yeah, awesome.
Hey.
Say it.
Forget about it.
Forget about it.
Yeah, man.
Forget about it, Chappie.
Right.
Forget about it.
All right. Show's over now, guys. Lindsay's going to take us out. We love you both. Get out of here. Hit the brick. We'll talk to you guys tomorrow. Lindsay, get us out of here.
Guys, keep trying to get back home. That's Red Gang Radio, and we out. See you tomorrow.
Thank you very much. Phone Master Dre was the producer of this show. He's going to play some music right about... Oh, no, we got about 30 seconds, Lindsay. Vamp.
Is it cheating if we both agree that we've got certain needs and all we're talking about is one little rollout in the hay? What do you think he'd say? Is it cheating if my husband's watching that song? Coming to a show near you soon. This has been Road Gang Radio. We are live from the FASTPORT studios in New Orleans, and we're live from the Lindsey Lawler studios, soon to be named, call me, in Nashville, Tennessee. We will see you tomorrow at 7 a.m. Bye.
Yes, ma'am. Woo!
Oh,
Is that
man.
it?
Oh, man. Well,
Are we still on right
We're
now?
out.
Yeah,
That's
we
it.
still
Yes,
got time.
Dave.
We still got another minute or two. We're not
What?
doing
Are
a
you
break.
serious?
What?
No.
Wait,
Yeah.
that's it.
Because you never really know if it's over or not.
I mean, you never can really tell.
Listen, if you're looking for professionalism, you've come to the wrong place.
You've come to the right place for the wrong kind of professionalism. You hear that music? That's the red light district.
We're just going to play this into it. Y'all join us tomorrow.
Policeman arrests massage therapist on Bourbon Street. She rubbed him the wrong way.
Ayo.
Hey, Lindsay, you're going to love this, by the way. We're still figuring out this format. We're allowed to go to 11, dude. How about that? We can just keep talking till 11 o'clock. I just thought I'd bring us back, and you and I could say, it's our show. So welcome to Road Gang Radio. The lunatics took over, but here you and I are. Love you.